Hello everybody, welcome to Dota Analysis Take 2, this time without music, and so YouTube doesn't yell at us. This is a special episode. We're going to be talking about patch 6.78, and we're going to join the party of all the cool kids making videos about the patch. So joining me today, the usual Dota Analysis other dude, Frost. How you doing from the Batcave?
I'm good, Finch, thanks.
It's great to have you. And also we have Weppas, who is probably the smartest out of all three of us, and he's going to drop some knowledge on us today. How you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm good.
Good. So this is take 2, so we don't get to hear any good chicken stories at 4 o'clock, and it's not a big deal, so we can get this video up. So today we're going to be talking about the patch. That's kind of about it. As far as Dota Analysis goes, we did that one episode, and then we told a bunch of people that we had this great plan that we were going to be doing, going over replays, kind of breaking them down, Sports Center, Baseball Tonight style, and it turned out that that is a shitload of work, and we weren't able to do the whole thing that we wanted to do, so we decided we're going to kind of put that on the back burner for now, and we're going to figure out a good direction we could take it, and then also use Dota Analysis just as a, whenever when you do stuff like this will be the show, and then as usual, all the VODs will be on Flipside's YouTube, which if you're watching this, it's going to be on YouTube. Flipside Tactics, youtube.com/Flipside Tactics, but then there's that random ass 3 instead of the E, which throws me off every time. So let's just jump right into the patch. That's what we need to talk about today. Hopefully this video isn't too long, so let's flip over to that as long as we don't break the screen. Look at that money. So we're going to talk about the heroes. Do you guys want to talk about heroes first or last as far as the new heroes go?
Probably last, and we probably shouldn't even mention it because we won't be able to see them in game, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, probably take it last because we don't really know too much about him anyways.
No, that works, so we'll throw those in at the end. I mean, obviously new heroes are cool. I guess for me personally, I just kind of want to see Ice Frog make heroes specifically for Dota 2 because I think he's going to do some crazy shit with the Dota 2 engine. Yeah. But we're not going to see that for a very, very long time. But right away, Arc Warden, we'll skip over that because he's not in Dota 2. Go to Axe. Axe, counter helix, cooldown decreased all across the board. It's not that big of a deal. Do you guys think this makes Axe any more viable, Frost?
Nope.
Nope. Alright, Weppas?
Not at all.
Not really. I mean, it's going to be easier to jungle if you're lucky with spins. Other than that, it's just like, doesn't really matter. It's such a low cooldown anyways. Yeah,
and that's one thing too I want to know real fast is, in order to keep this as short and sweet as possible, like the ones like that aren't that big of a deal, we're just going to skip right over it. If you guys want to check out the patch notes, just go to playdota.com and you can check them out there as well. I'm going to try to make them as big as possible, but it's a little bit hard. But yeah, so we'll kind of skip over the non-significant ones, and that way we can spend more time like this one, Ancient Apparition, which I'm personally really excited for. Ice Vortex cooldown decreased from 6 to 5. Ice Blast base AoE increased from 225 Dota meters to 275 Dota meters. And then with Aghanim Scepter, which is awesome, the Ice Blast duration is increased from previously it was 10 seconds, now it's 17 seconds. Which I'm a big fan of the Ancient Apparition. I just don't think he's as viable as other heroes. Weppas, does this change make him viable against kind of pushing strategies, with Chen and all that kind of good stuff?
I think that the bigger AoE is going to help him out just because you can actually be in team fights with AA. You don't have to drop the ultimate from base and then try and get a kill because you're going to have a bigger AoE, which means that you'll most likely hit people a bit easier even though it's really slow. But I don't think the Aghanims is going to change anything too much. It's more of a pub item, or if you manage to get a lot of farm on him, because you don't really get Aghanims on the support AA until maybe like 50 minutes into the game, and then it can be great. Because suddenly you can heal for 17 seconds, and that's a lot if you hit 4 or 5 people in a game. But it's still like if you use him against a push strat, you're not going to have the Aghanims anyways because it's going to be so early in the game. So I don't think the Aghanims is going to be super big, but I like that the increased AoE that's going to help him out a tiny bit. It won't be massive, but we might see him. I mean, we see him from now and then. So.
Yeah, I hope we do. I think he's one of the more exciting heroes, at least to play and watch. I know he's my go-to if I drink too much. I pick AA and just start shooting ultimates all over the map. So anything to make him more viable is good on me. Frost, your name.
I agree with Weppas.
You like ice stuff.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I agree with Weppas actually completely because I think putting him at the 4 or the 5, he won't get the farm. And if he's at the 4 specifically and he's able to get the farm, it's still better to go Yules. I think what we're neglecting to see is he's going to come back like he did in he's going to come back like he was in TI1. You'll see AA mid now. And this is a legitimate strategy. Absolutely it is. Because it's a legitimate strategy against early push lineups, especially when Chen's picked. Because before, they would get hit with the blast, and then they'd have to back up, wait 6 or 7 seconds. They would come back with a mech. They would still have the ultimate, and they can still siege. Now they can't do that. Now if they at all cluster and start to push forward and they get hit, they literally have to retreat, and that stops the siege. What's going to happen is your off-lane pickup can no longer be now a Batrider. It's going to have to be something like a Gondar or a Lone Druid, and then you have to have a very strong tri-lane. That will have to be the adjustment made, but AA mid, I think, will probably see some more play, at least initially. I think people are going to try to see it happen again. I don't know if it's going to make a colossal change like Weppas said, but I think now it opens the door for AA to come back like he was in TI1 as a mid hero.
But wasn't he
we'll see how it turns out.
Because the hero pool was so small.
Yeah, but that was his role. It's the same as Shadow Shaman. Now I think we'll start experimenting with that a little bit more. But yeah, I agree with Weppas completely. As a support, it is still better to get a Yules in place of an Aghanims because it'll take too long and you'll be too useless throughout the majority of the fights.
Yeah, one of the things that would run him in mid as well, we're going to touch on it later, but the new picking phase, you can easily sneak him in as a pocket pick for mid. As the
Absolutely.
But we'll get to that a bit later. But
yeah,
I kind of agree on that. We might actually see him as a pocket strat pick.
I hope so, man. I love AA. He's great.
Yeah, he's really cool.
Well, he's really going to be strong against Chen in particular. Like, honestly, he's going to be really strong against Chen.
Yeah.
And then you spoke briefly about Batrider as far as the offlane, and that's a great segue into the next hero, which is Batrider. We see his vision was decreased from 1800 to 800, or 1800, 800 earlier, and now it's going to be 1400, 800. I believe the bigger numbers when he's in Firefly, correct?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, because he gets flying
vision, but now it's increased by 400, which is a lot. I think that's good because it's just like it's bigger than a Night Stalker Aghanims, and you don't even need anything for it. Like Night Stalker Aghanims was at 1200 range, but it's still like 4,200 gold you got to put on a Night Stalker, which is where you can put like a BKB or an Arbalest instead. But I feel it's a good nerf because it's kind of needed. Batrider needs to be nerfed a tiny bit.
And then also we see a Flame Break, his mana cost is increased, another little nerf on this. Earlier it's scale, now it's just directly 140, rank 1. Weppas, is this enough to not have Batrider as first ban pick material every time?
I don't know, I still think he's going to be used as first pick and ban, just because he's still really strong. The thing is, though, that we won't see in mid is something where you have like a Batrider who goes Flame Break at level 2 and just spams 2 or 3 Flame Breaks, because he's going to be after 2. So, which is really nice, just because they increase the mana. So I like that change, it's nice. Because it might actually force the Batrider either to go like early mana boots to be able to be active on the map properly. Like before he gets boosted travel, instead of normal boots, blink and force staff, he might have to go for something like arcane boots just to like measure up with the mana cost. But it really depends.
That's interesting. I didn't really think about that. That's kind of like a nerf in a different way, as forcing him to try to change up his items and all that kind of stuff, which is good. Frost, do you have any input on Batrider, or should we just move on?
No. Yeah, I like having Weppas on the show because he actually. I completely agree with you again.
So I told you, man. That's why he is the smartest out of all three of us.
So it's going to change his jungle mechanic. See, normally what people would do, and what I've been seeing, is 1-1-1, and what happens is you max stack one of the hard camps, and with the Flame Break and about 4 or 5, and Firefly, and about 4 or 5 stacks, you can just melt it and then move on to some other camps with the Firefly you used previously to kill that big camp. Well, now that's not going to happen so much, because what people would do is they would get a bottle and then they'll crow it. Well, it's too much mana, because bottle really only gives you 70 mana, so it'll take 2 charges just to get that extra Flame Break. So his jungle build will now go back to what it used to be way back in the day, 2-2, and I think that changes the jungle, because now he's less. His ganks are going to have to be more precise, whereas before he had the ability to knock you back. Now he does not. So I think that's actually really big for jungle Batrider. And mid Batrider the same. Weppas already said it.
What if you bottle crow?
Well, you do bottle Crow,
Yeah.
but still you won't
What
have the
if
mana for it,
courier
though.
was slower when he was
Oh,
carrying your
whoa.
bottle?
Yeah. What you may see though now is Soul Ring being used on Batrider.
That's true.
Let's not forget that. That may now be a core item for him because of this.
Yeah. All right. I like this. I like this thought process. Next up, we have the Beastmaster, another kind of insignificant. The Greater Hawk invisibility fade time is now decreased from 5 seconds to 4. It's just a nice little, I don't know, quality of life type thing. It's gonna make him, it's gonna make those times when the Hawk is almost invisible and it dies a little bit less frustrating. But other than that, I don't see that being too game changing because Beastmaster is already a good solid hero in various lineups.
Sure.
Next up is Bloodseeker. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce this. Thirst now gives you a bonus 3, 4, 5, 6 armor when active, and then also we have Blood Rage dispels to target before applying its buff, and then there's a little note says this would cause it to remove things like Ethereal Blade, and then also Rupture damage is now HP loss, and it causes it to go through a magic immunity. Frost, is this enough to see Bloodseeker ever justifiable pick?
Well, we've seen it once, and sorry, Cinderin, but I think we may see him use more because HP loss is really big for him because that was one of the big counters, so TPs or BKB, and he's basically a useless hero. I think the Dispel is going to be really, really, really big. And also, let's not forget now, against Nakes, he's going to be much more viable because that means that Rage, he'll still take damage, he can't move. So if Nakes can't close the distance on you and you have a range carry like Luna, now Luna and Gyro are much stronger against Nakes if you end up picking this hero. I don't know how the composition of the team's going to be. I'm just saying theoretically. It makes him more viable against heroes like that. And I also really think the armor that they're giving him is really smart because now he can close the gap.
He can chase easier because he can take some beating.
And he's also really good against Ursa now, so Kaipe might have to rethink their strategy.
I know. Well, I know who's gonna. You might pick him against the Nikes. Easily, Alliance is gonna do with that change. They're gonna run Bloodseeker mid and then have an Ursa trail in because then you force the Nikes to stand and actually hit the fucking Ursa, and you can't manfight an Ursa as a Nikes.
I agree.
You can't manfight anything as a Nikes just because it's HP removal. So I don't know. I still think it's gonna be like a pocket pick, but it makes him viable as a pocket pick.
Yeah.
Like he can be truly viable as a pocket pick just because it's HP removal instead.
Yeah,
but
that was a really smart change.
I still don't think we're gonna see him too much, but hopefully we'll see him now and then. It's gonna be cool if we do.
Yep.
Yeah, even now, everyone always complains like we don't see heroes all the time. I think you're never gonna be able to see all heroes all viable at the same time. But if anything, with the new draft changes and stuff like this, maybe last pick, sneak them in there, just throw a team off guard. Kind of sneak a win off them, like all that kind of good stuff. I think it makes Dota a lot more interesting when you see random ass heroes come out of nowhere and like, oh wow, they're really good. Kind of what happened with Slark during the Western.
That hero still exists.
Which Slark?
No, like when you see those heroes, it's kind of like, oh, that hero is still in the game actually.
Really? Okay. Well, yes, we'll roll with this. We'll have to wait and see though if Bloodseeker pops up at all. The next one is Bounty Hunter. A minor change to this: the track mana cost is reduced. Before it would scale, now it's just directly to 50 mana. Do either you have any? It's just a good thing, right? It's not. This
is really, really good for Gondar, believe it or not, early game because of the fact that mana issues are his biggest problem early, and I think that really helps it. It only really helps his early game though. So from 6 to about 10. Is where like this will really be useful, but outside of that, no. But it just makes him stronger early. I think it doesn't help him at any other stage in the game.
It's just nice to have. I mean, being able to throw out one extra track in a team fight, maybe if you have a bottle, it's really nice to have. So, not a big change, but it's gonna help him out no matter what.
Okay. Next up is Bristleback. We see his Quill Spray hit memory increased from 10 to 14 seconds. Does hit memory just mean a fancy word for it lasts longer?
Basically.
Alright, so...
you can stack it for a longer time, which means you can chase longer.
Okay. Yep. Now, is this enough Weppas to see Bristleback at all? I mean, I think he's kind of good, the way he is.
I think we're going to see Bristleback in competitive play, for sure. I think we just have to wait for either Abaddon to come out, or, at least in Dota 2, I think we have to wait for Abaddon, because he's really sick to have to get Bristleback. Just because, like, you can't kill the Bristleback, and if you have Abaddon with a shield, he's really impossible to kill. You just need something to help out with slow.
Yep.
But it's really, I think people just have to want to try and test him out, and then they start figuring out strats around him. But still, it's just like people haven't really tested him yet. That's why we don't see him.
That's a good start. We'll have to wait and see. Next up, Broodmother. Incapacitating Bite, the mischance is reduced from 10, 20, 30, 40%. Now it's going to be 30, 40, 50, 60%. And then also the spawn spiderlings unit count is increased from 1, 2, 3, 3 to 1, 2, 3, 4. So anybody out there who has nightmares of getting surrounded by spiders, they're just going to get worse now. Frost, you're a major advocate for Broodmother. Does this make you excited?
Oh yeah, like I hope when people look at this, they realize. So what this means is not only is Broodmother really stronger now in a one-on-one, but
she's a strong
she
girl.
will also win. Well, yeah, that too. Okay. She will also should win the CS battle against anybody, because the incapacitating bite now, that mischance against somebody that's against you is huge. It's a mischance. They have a 30% chance to miss, and really the only thing you need is 1 point into it. By level 4, if they attack you, it's almost as if you have a butterfly, minus the stats.
We're going to see some crazy metagame stuff where you pick Ursa to counter their Nakes, and they pick a Broodmother to counter your Ursa that they pick to counter Nakes.
I don't know about that. All I'm saying is her one-on-one game just got, I mean, she's on like LeBron level right now, because now she's stronger in a one-on-one. Way stronger in a one-on-one.
So you're saying she's going to throw away the lead in the fourth quarter and choke when it matters?
I mean, hey, she doesn't scale particularly well, but no. I mean, look, I don't know.
Second
I can tell you that, yeah, she's a better one-on-one hero now. I don't know, however, if this is gonna. I mean, obviously her tri-lane viability or against a tri-lane has improved significantly as well, but still, the issue she has is a spiderling. So, in a tri-lane setting, she gives up a lot of gold. She's still susceptible to ganks and kills and all that stuff, even though she can, is really fast on the web. But I think her one-on-one game just stepped up big time. So if you know they're gonna solo short lane, this could be the pocket strat, which we'll get into later. That right there is like, whoa, that's actually pretty cool.
Take a shot whenever we say pocket.
I feel that the biggest change to that is that she's actually more team fight viable now.
Yeah.
Like you can actually have her in team fights instead of just having her as a split pusher, because you hit the carry once and suddenly has 60% mischance, and then you can go for support, and then you come back, like hit it once, and then like you can just rotate around pretty much.
Yeah.
So she's a lot more team fight viable and can work as a semi carry properly, which I feel is really nice, because like 60% mischance in late game, that's a lot.
Yeah. She'll still have to be built the way that I build her, right? Like she'll still have to be built for the late game. But yeah, absolutely.
All right, we'll have to wait and see. This one's kind of minor. Centaur War Chief was added to Captain's mode.
I don't think this is minor, actually. Believe it or not, because I feel like he's really good in aggressive tri-lane.
The amount of text on here is relatively minor.
Oh yeah.
The impact on the game, Weppas, is it bigger than minor?
I don't know really. I think that we, like Phil said, we might see him in aggressive tri-lanes, but it's still, I think people just have to try him out a lot more and see what can actually work. Like he would have been picked for sure if he had his old ultimate. Like his new ultimate isn't bad, but like his old ultimate,
so good.
That would have been just hilarious if they had him in captain's mode. But I still think he's strong. The problem is that like how much does he actually add in the late game? Maybe if you have like a big team fight lineup where you have like some push as well, where you have a hard carry that can actually do shit, and if you go up against a team that doesn't really go too many BKBs and stuff, he can work out really well. But I don't know, we'll have to see what teams actually want to try with him.
Yeah, I think you can't draft somebody like Skywrath mid with a hero like that in your aggressive tri-lane. I think you need two strong solos that either are both semis or one is a hard, one's a semi, because I think you have to alter your strategy. And what I like about him in aggressive tri-lanes is if you give him farm, you reap the benefits. Like a lot of times the strongest aggressive tri-lanes don't have like a particular like carry, I mean outside of like CK and like stuff like that, but you know what I mean? Like, so this, if you get him an early blink, holy fuck, blink, stun, double edge, ult, like that's really, really, really strong for a team fighting lineup, like he said. In my personal opinion, I would do it, and as somebody that enjoys drafting and drafts and play CM and all that stuff, yes, I would definitely.
You'd pick him up. All right, well,
absolutely,
I'm
no question. Here.
I'm just not a fan of the Centaur War Chief. Like Weppas said, his old, yes, that was so good, but his new one, He just doesn't feel as strong. And just kind of like, where does he fit? Like, it's just kind of a weird spot where I don't think he's gonna make a giant impact. Maybe we'll see him come out as a pocket strat or something like that and catch people off guard. The next one up is Klinks. So this is gonna drive everybody crazy. Strafe cooldown is now decreased. Prior it was 60, 50, 40, 30, and now it's gonna be 45, 40, 35, 30. So this just means he's gonna go hunting people in the jungle a little bit earlier and start pulling out that crazy damage. Frost, what do you think, man? Good, bad?
I think it's good for his one-on-one, but other than that, it's not really...
Not that big of a deal? Alright. Weppas, who wins a one-on-one, Broodmother or Klinks?
Probably Broodmother.
Alright.
But yeah, I think it's a nice change. I mean, he'll be able to gank a lot more in the early game because you usually go 1-4-4. You max out your what's it called?
The fire
skeleton walk with fire arrow. And now you can level 1 strafe will actually be useful because it's not like you have to wait a minute for it to come up again, which is kind of nice. I mean, like 20 more seconds and it's the RP cooldown and it's a normal skill, so it's a lot better for his early game. But other than that, I don't think we'll see him too much more.
Okay.
It really depends.
That's good. He's the most annoying hero to go up against all across the board. The next one up, though, is something that I'm kind of excited about. Crystal Maiden. We see the Brilliance aura. The mana regen is increased, I guess, a half second across the board. So now at max rank, it's going to be 2.5. Or not a half second, but a half point of mana per second. And then also Freezing Field AoE Explosion is increased from 215, now it's 230. And then Aghanim's Freezing Field attack speed reduction area increased from -20 to -50. I don't think we're going to see too much Crystal Maidens with Aghanims, but as far as the other abilities, I think everyone kind of agrees that Crystal Maiden needs a movement speed increase to make her viable. This Brilliance aura buff, it just seems like now she becomes kind of a mana bot for your team. Like, you pick heroes who need that aura and then you just max that. Like, I don't know, I think she's an awesome support, and with just a little bit more movement speed we'd see her a lot more. Weppas, do you think this is enough to see her in any kind of pro level games?
No, I'm kind of on your page. It's just like she needs a bit more movement speed to be viable. She's just too slow. I mean,
she'll be top tier support though if that happens.
Yeah, that's
Shadow
the
Shaman.
thing, top tier support.
Yeah, but it's the same with Shadow Shaman. Like, they'll be 1-2 all day. So if you make them faster, you make them just the best in the game.
Yeah, that's the thing.
It's tough. That's a tough balance. I don't really know what to do.
It's a really thin line you walk when you want to buff movement speeds, especially on supports, because if you make them too fast, it's just like they get super strong. I mean, I played a Bane game today, and he's got 315 movement speed. I played without boots for 25 minutes because I was just warding and shit, and I didn't get any farm, but I didn't have a problem because I could still outrun people.
Yeah,
it's like he's a really fast support. He's like
he
super
floats.
strong just because he's so fast. But yeah, I think
we forgot Clockwork as well. That's a very important one.
Oh,
that's
okay.
kind of big.
Sorry about that. I got excited about the Crystal Maiden. Frost, why don't you talk about Clockwork? Power Cogs no longer knocks back.
Man, does this hurt, because his ability in team fights to, even with BKB, you still get knocked back, means your positioning needs to be absolutely perfect. And I think that this really, I don't say this kills the hero, but I will tell you one thing. He's not going to be the off-laner of choice that we have seen him to be recently, because that sucks. I mean, I still feel as if they should get knocked back. They just shouldn't get anything they shouldn't get any mana zap or HP zap or whatever. That sucks. Holy fuck. That sucks. Like, that's unfortunate, because now, say he traps you, BKB, you're taking no damage from him but right clicks. You just can kill him. Now he's dead. That sucks. That's tough, man. That's a tough change. I don't know how you feel about it, but I feel like that's huge for him.
I think, though, it's kind of a good change. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how it works out, but as far as Clockwork goes, he was kind of a good go-to pick in a lot of situations, even in the past month or two. He's been really strong. This maybe will bring him back in line a little bit. I mean, I don't think he was overpowered or anything like that. I think this is just
true,
kind
but
of
now his late game just sucks.
Situation.
That's basically what just happened.
Well, the thing is, even if the cogs, like, if it doesn't get affected, I mean, it's going to be positive for like both teams, because, I mean, you're still not going to go for him. You can still isolate heroes behind. You can jump on the supports and isolate someone. Because even if it doesn't like affect you, you don't want to go and hit the cogs 8 times to be able to kill it off to help your friendly hero out. I mean, it's like, you're still gonna sack the hero that gets caught unless you have a lot of burst to actually bring him down. So I mean, of course it's gonna hurt, especially against heroes like Nikes and Gyrocopters that go already BKB, but and Nikes of course with having the rage. But other than that, I don't think it's gonna hurt him too bad. But like you said, late game is gonna be a tiny bit weaker.
And I think if anything too, it forces Clockworks to be a little bit more selective now with their cogs. If
That's
you
true.
see them blow up BKB early, then you can kind of time it right accordingly, rather than just like get in there, pop them right away. You have to be a little bit more selective. We'll have to wait and see. And then also be a little bit more selective with your Darkseer vacuum, which the cooldown is increased from 22 seconds to 24 seconds. Weppas, is this enough to knock Darkseer down a notch or no?
No, I don't think so. I mean, didn't they do a cooldown increase after TI2 as well? They actually decreased his AoE a tiny bit and a cooldown increase from like what was it, like 18 up to 22 or whatever it is now. And now it's going to be 24 instead, so I don't think it's going to be too big. I mean, he's still going to be a top tier support. It just depends on how people play. Like you see some teams that really prioritize him high, like Dignitas. They always try and pick him if they can. Other teams just like they don't really care about the hero whatsoever. So it really depends on the team, but I don't think it's going to be that massive.
Yeah, and I think one thing, his vacuum, it feels like the strongest area on the map where the vacuum is when someone's trying to push into your barracks and you can drop a wall and then vacuum when they kind of are coming up that high ground choke. This doesn't seem like it affects that type too much because people are already be clumped together. This seems like it just kind of affects when you're just fighting in the middle of the map. And a lot of times when people would almost escape and you could vacuum them back in and all that kind of good stuff. Frost,
like super long fights.
No, you guys said everything I was gonna say.
Perfect. All right, so the next up is Dazzle, which is another hero I hope we see, hopefully in Pocket Strats sooner or later. We see the Shadow Wave target count increased from 3345 to 3456. And then also Shallow Grave can now be cast on magic immune units, which is awesome. I'm really excited for that. Frost, what do you think about this? You're a Dazzle
I don't
fan,
think this changes anything about Dazzle except for one particular hero that also received the change. I think now that combo is one to really look for, which you'll talk the Huskar change.
Dazzle
I think this was specifically designed for that Huskar change, honestly, if you want my opinion. However,
No, I don't want
think
your opinion.
Outside of that one, I don't really see it changing all that much in terms of his viability in other lineups. I think this, in tandem with that, makes that combo something that I think we'll see. That's about it, though, to be honest.
I think Dazzle feels like a pretty decent hero the way he is.
He is.
I like him.
He's really good. It's just hard to fit him into a lineup.
Yes,
but if you have a right click fight and you have his ultimate with the minus armor, and now you can put Shallow Grave in the late game on a BKB target, that's gonna be so sick to have. So I think that we might actually see him more, but it really depends on like how the lineups look. When you see like massive right click carries in the late game, I think we're gonna see it from China. Like they've been starting to pick up Spectre and stuff like that. We're easily see, like for super late games, having a Dazzle there as well as like having the Shallow Grave on BKB targets is just massive. Because if he pops a BKB and still gets bursted, suddenly you have a Shallow Grave and he's still magic immune, which means he can't get stunned or anything. I think it's gonna be good.
Yeah,
completely agree. Actually,
that sounds good. Yeah. We'll have to see. Next up is Death Prophet, who is a hero. She is that hero that we talked about earlier, where you just kind of think, wait, she's still in the game? Like, you don't ever see Death Prophet.
She's so good, too. It's the same thing with Dazzle.
I like her. I like to play her.
I love her.
I just don't know how viable
she's so
she is.
strong. No, she's actually really strong. It's just, not many people are comfortable with her, or she's hard to fit in certain lineups, but she's so strong.
Okay, so then as far as her changes, before we talk about her movement speed was decreased a little bit, 285 to 280. Silence AoE increase, which I think this is the biggest part. It's up from earlier. It was 200, 275, 350, 350 in Dota meters, and now it's just a flat 350 at rank 1. I mean, you could get one rank in Silence, and then start maxing Witchcraft, I think, and you'd be totally fine. So Witchcraft move speed bonus increased from 4, 8, 12, 16%. Now it's going to be 5, 10, 15, 20%. I think this is enough to make her a little bit viable. I mean, what do you think, Frost?
I think that my phase boots into Yules, I don't think I need phase boots anymore.
Like
I think I can actually, I mean, my NASCAR builds. I think now she can actually get treads and have more survivability, which would help her in her ultimate, because that's the one thing I feel that people don't understand about her is her ultimate is physical DPS. In early game, heroes do not have armor. If you can stay alive, they can't fight you.
Yeah. Well,
If
wasn't
you're
that why
sieging a
people
tower,
would go
they can't
Vanguard on her?
defend it. I'm sorry?
Wasn't that why people would go Vanguard on her, is to give them that survivability?
Yeah. Yes. Although me, I hate the item and I just always go Yules and just protect myself. Or,
Yeah, well, I think like you said, Power
take,
Tread, instead of going that Vanguard route, it frees up quite a bit of gold.
Yeah.
It helps Weppas. What's your opinion on this?
Well, I think that I like the silence AoE as well as the movement speed increase. It's really nice. But the silence AoE, I think, is the biggest one because she can be useful in early team fights since you don't actually max that out.
350 is huge.
Yeah,
they almost doubled it rank 1. I mean, 200 to 350, that's almost double.
Yeah, it's really good, but it's still like it's just hard to have her in a lineup because you need a lot of lockdown. You need to have people actually staying around to be able to do it. But I feel that I don't think the movement speed is going to actually change too much because it's like they nerfed the base movement, but they upped the extra movement, so it's still going to like weigh each other out pretty much.
If
I
anything,
think so.
doesn't it
Well, no, it increases the other way because remember it's 20%. It's an extra 4%, which so
it's probably going to increase in the later stages of the game.
Yeah,
but in the early game, she's still really slow. So she's still she's still very gankable and stuff. But I think it's nice, but it's still you need teams with lockdown.
Yeah, you need to stick her into the right lineup. The next one up though is Disruptor, which I don't know. I think he's kind of viable the way he is now. We just don't see him too often. Hopefully these changes help him. Thunder Strike is changed from 3 strikes over 4 seconds to now 4 strikes over 6 seconds. Thunder Strike damage per strike decreased from 50, 75, 100, 125. Now it's going to be 40, 60, 80, 100. And then the Thunder Strike AoE is increased from 200 to 240. So it looks like Ice Frog really wants people to skill Thunder Strike. I don't think this is enough to make Disruptor any more viable than he is. His Glimpse is still, I think, his best ability. Weppas, do you ever play Disruptor? What's your thoughts on this?
I play him now and then, but I feel like looking at it, he's going to do a tiny bit more damage, but it's still going to be like such a minor change. The AoE is going to be nice for team fights because that means that the Thunder Strike might actually hit a bit more in your kinetic field together with your ulti. It's a higher chance that you'll get more damage out in that, but so it's still just like a pick you'll see when people want to fit it into their lineups.
I mean, would you just stick him in a tri-lane, maybe? Because you get more team fights? And
on
tri-lane action?
Yeah, that's normally what he is. But the thing is, that's a mid change. That's for him to play mid, but he's not going to be mid.
I don't think that's
like
enough.
That's a straight up mid change. It's just
the only one that's ever played in mid is Bulba when he played for EG, and Korok plays mid most of the times now. So unless Fluff wants to pick something for Liquid where they run Disruptor mid, we're not going to see it mid.
Yeah, there's still so many better mids though. That's what's unfortunate. Yeah. I feel like they needed to, I think they needed to make him more viable for tri lanes instead. So either make Kinetic Field do DOT or something, and then maybe But I don't feel like this is gonna hinder or change him at all. Okay. In my opinion.
All right, so the next one. This is the one right here. This is scary. This is what we're gonna have nightmares about 3 months. Doombringer. Doom now disables Feast, Backtrack, Dispersion, Juxtapose, Bristleback, and Bloodbath, but the exciting one, Aghanim Scepter on Doombringer. Aghanim's Doom duration does not count down while the target is within 550 range of Doombringer. Potential infinite Doom on somebody. I mean, you just pretty much pick your target that you want to kill, and you just kill it. Frost, I know you like the Doombringer. What do you think about this one?
Huge change. This is actually this makes Lothar's on him much more viable than people realize, because now, see, the old strategy when you're going up against a PL or an AM was you want to sneak up on them, doom them, and then kill them. Well, now you can do that without the penalty of them possibly getting away, depending on how many hit points they have.
You now have to attack them. You can just click doom and follow them.
Yes. Now, in team fights, though, I think this, the builds that we're gonna have to go more with are more armor-intensive builds. So the AC Shivas need to be applied. He needs to have more hit points. I think my NASCAR build actually really works on this hero now too. But yeah, it's huge. You literally, as long as you can survive in team fights, as long as your team has a mech and a pipe, and as long as you do your due diligence by getting HP and armor, you are a straight-up counter. You're forcing now item changes. You may force out Lincoln's on like a hero like AM, Void. You may have to force out one on PL, or else they're just gonna die. This again goes with the draft change. This is a FU if you want to go PL Coddle now. It just depends on how well you are on Doom. Because if you can't farm enough to get the items you need, then it's not gonna matter anyway. But if you can survive, G fucking G. Holy shit.
I love this change, especially that Doom disables Feast, Backtrack, Dispersion, like all of those.
Yes.
That's going to make him viable in the late game. And in the late game, you're most likely going to have an Aghanims on him especially. And like in team fights, your carry's going to be forced to fight. But if you can, like against a Nyx, disable Feast, like he's going to be so weak in the fight. I mean, Feast is one of the biggest reasons why Nyx is so fucking good. And he can't get open wounds out in the game, in the fights either, because he's doomed already. And he can't do shit about it. And if you have Aghanims, it's like, he just runs around and can't do shit.
I completely
force
agree.
him out of the fight. Like, either he stays and just right-clicks and hopes that he does damage, or you just like force him to back out of the fight for 20 seconds, and then your team dies because that's the main right-click damage you have. I love this change because I love seeing Doom. That was like my favorite hero when I started the beta, like, or when I came into the beta, like September after first TI. Like I played Doom mid all the time, but I really think we can see him being used a lot more. And like you said, the movement speed build, where you go for utility, where I usually go like Tranquils into like Vlad's, Drums, BOTs and like Shivas, just to like tank up, and then add an Aghanims on that, you're super strong. Like you can survive so easily. You can even go in AC instead of Shivas to get pushing power, and he'll be used more of as a utility semi-carry kind of, because you don't actually have to build damage. You can just eat a wolf pack creep and you'll do damage anyways in the later stages of the game. So I love this change. It's really fun because Aghanims on Doom is gonna be massive,
huge.
And I think it's really worth it as well. It's kind of like Aghanims on Night Stalker. It's situational, but once you pick it up, it's massive.
Absolutely. And this also changes Doom Middle, where Doom Middle no longer will get bottled or rush level death or 4 level death. He's going to max Scorched Earth first, even over Infest or not Infest. My goodness, Consume.
Yeah, Consume.
And that's going to be huge because now that means early game he has movement speed and he has survivability. Holy fucking A. That shit is so boss. I actually prefer to go phase boots, and that's why this really helps, because that really helps with this.
I think the one really cool thing about this patch is everybody was clamoring for Phantom Lancer nerf and do something, fight Cancer Lancer, like all that.
So glad you're saying this. Yes.
I like that rather than knocking Phantom Lancer down a whole bunch, Ice Frog went with the attitude of I'm going to make other heroes more viable against him. So you have Doombringer now. Doom is going to disable Juxtapose. Then you have someone like Earthshaker, whose Echo Slam is going to consider illusions as heroes. So now it's a little bit more of that kind of counter pick. Like, look, if you want Coddle PL, we're going to grab these heroes to counter him.
Yeah.
And rather than knocking him down and just not seeing him ever again, it's one of those things. Well, maybe if they try to sneak a last pick Phantom Lancer, but other teams that have these guys, then he can still be strong like he is now. But if they pick him first or second, then all of a sudden it's gonna be pretty easy to counter. That's kind of fascinating and a really cool way to look at the game.
It is. Spoiler alert. So Ice Frog nerfed Naga and Morphling into the ground after TI2. I think now what he's doing is he's just buffing other heroes that do well against those quote-unquote overpowered heroes, and that's a really good strategy.
With being able to sneak that last hero, I think that's
the thing. It's better to buff up heroes around him and make them a tiny bit stronger to make them more viable against that pick, instead of nerfing something to the ground. Like you make a minor change instead of that's one of the biggest problems I had with Han, because one hero was strong and it's nerfed to the fucking ground and then you never see him. Of course Morphling got nerfed to the ground, but you can actually still use him, but against the heroes that are in now, you can't use him. But now if you buff other heroes, you can you can rotate around it, so you can build strats around it, which makes it stronger. So I really like it.
Alright, next up is Dragon Knight change. We see the Corrosive Breath, passive from level 1, Elder form, now carries over to level 2. Will this be enough to make it so people don't level first level of Dragon at level 6 and then the next one at 15, 16? Is this good?
Yeah, it's really good. People are going to level Dragon form at level at level 11 for sure. And I believe that doesn't the dragon form at level 11 actually increase your damage a tiny bit as well?
Yes, it's the poison.
Yeah, but no, but I mean, what's it called? I gotta look it up now. But
why don't you look it up? I mean, I think Dragon Knight is one of the more exciting heroes to watch, and that was one of my favorite things at the Eastern qualifiers, as opposed to the West, as we saw a lot of Dragon Knight. I mean, and he's also easy to market. I mean, he's a dude who turns into a dragon and kills shit. Like, people like that. It makes the game a better spectating experience.
Well, his mid game, like strength is right now because of that. He's so huge in the mid game. It's nuts.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, you can skill your level 2 dragon form. And your pushing is going to be even stronger than it was at level 6 because you got splash, so you can kill the creep waves easier.
Yes.
You can still fight well.
Splash and poison.
Splash poison, so you can push the towers really hard, and it's really big, and I love that change because that means that it's not that we won't see him more because we already see him quite a bit, but he's going to be useful before he hits level 16 as well. Like once he hits around 10, 11, he's still going to be quite useful for pushing because
Exactly. The biggest weakness I felt he had before. So like if you picked like a Chen in your lineup, right? Or like an Enchantress to early push to siege towers and stuff, and to win a game at that time. And Weppas, you tell me if I'm on the right track or if I'm retarded. So the biggest thing before, right, was you couldn't really pick him on that because he takes too long. He needs Elder form. He needs level 16 in order to really be able to 3v1, 4v1 with a good team behind him. Well, now that changes. Now he helps you in the early game. And he's the tank you need up front. So rather than like what people used to do back in the day is like get Tide Hunter and all these other initiating heroes, he could be your initiation now and your carry and help push. Oh, and by the way, it's going to be a bitch to kill him. Oh, and fuck you when it goes to late game because he's going to rape you. Like it's...
Yeah, I mean, suddenly he's viable
crazy.
in late game. You don't have to rely on level 16, which is like the biggest thing, because usually you use him as a counter pick to like he works exceptionally well against the Nikes, just because like you got so much armor, which means Feast is physically based, so you're gonna heal less of the Dragon Knight. And now when you get the splash and the extra dot, you can actually fight the Nikes at level 11. So I really like it, and it's just gonna make his team fight even stronger because you don't want to level it up until 16. You're like as strong as possible. You're the strongest, of course, when you're 16, but you're gonna be super strong at level 11 as well, just because you have the splash and the poison. So I really love that change.
And he's a freaking dragon. At the end of the day,
really good. Oh hell yeah! And he's cool. So some of his gear is like some of the best in the game still.
Yeah,
isn't it pretty cool?
Amazing. He looks amazing.
And next up, though, after the Dragon Knight Drow Ranger, we see True Shot auras increase from 14, 18, 22, 26%. Now it's going to be 16, 20, 24, 28%. I think this puts her right in line with where IceFrog wants her, right? Kind of the mid-game type carry that's going to scale really well early. Mid-game, she's going to be just a beast hitting like a truck, and then she's going to tail off. Are we going to see her picked, or are we going to see kind of a comeback of aura strats? You know, stick her with Vengeful Spirit or something like that? I mean... What do you guys think about that? Maybe
Aura Strat, but not for like pocket strategy. Just maybe Aura strategy.
Yeah, Aura strats with something that can actually tank up in front of her, because with the heroes that are popular now, like Nikes and like if Ursa is going to come into the meta game as well, you can't use Drow because she gets so weak once the ulti gets dispelled. I mean, you're strong if you have a lot of items, but you're super strong if you have your ulti. Like at level 7 with just auras, you can be insanely strong. You can hit for like almost 200 at level 7 only. But if you have something like a Nikes that's going to open wounds you and just run on top of you, suddenly you hit for like 100 and he just rapes you so hard. So I feel that it's still... I think that the changes on other heroes, like the Doombringer change as well as the Dragon Knight change and stuff like that, is going to work better for her, and it's going to make those heroes a bit stronger as well, together with the Drow might be able to be the hard carry, and then you have something like a DK in front or something like that. But it's just that the heroes that counter Drow the hardest are the most popular picks right now, and that's like PO, Ursa, Nikes, stuff that just gets in your face, and you need something to take them off her so she can actually do damage.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. Well, we'll have to see about Drow Ranger. Next up, though, is Earthshaker, which we kind of spoke about earlier, kind of countering PL. And I like this change. I really like Earthshaker as a hero. I think he's one of the more exciting heroes to watch. Even play too. He's a good fun hero. His turn rate was improved from 0.4 to 0.6. and the fissure range is increased from 1200 to 1300, and now Echo Slam considers illusions as heroes, and then Aghanim Scepter upgrade now does extra damage for each hero in the area. I mean, I think this is just the big middle finger to PL. They pick PL, you pick Earthshaker, but as far as his viability in a game without PL, Frost, do you ever see him being picked up?
And Naga, any illusion-based hero, yeah, and Naga, CK as well.
What about Manta-style heroes too? I mean,
yeah, well, yeah, he significantly improves in that area, but Manta's only 2 illusions, whereas CK, Naga, and PL can get out of control with their illusions.
Right.
So this is really huge for them. The turn rate, though, I don't think. Well, okay, I'm not going to name drop, but the one that I watched, they didn't really talk about this, and I thought that was crazy. He has one of the worst turn rates in the game. Now he doesn't. Now he has one of the better. Well, now he's on par with some of the better ones. That's huge too. That's huge. That's a really good move for him. Nice. Yeah, that's really good. But yeah, the Echo Slam is really sick because it does double damage. I think for every so now it just he's strong against those types of illusion-based heroes.
Yeah, he gets a lot stronger because of that, and since we might see Brood, we might see him picked more as well. But the turn rate, the turn rate is nice because you have what's it called? Like if you get chased away and you run, you can actually turn and fissure now without getting killed when you just try and turn. Like it's not massive, but it's still going to be big enough that
I think it's going to help.
You can actually do something like that.
No, for sure.
That was always one of the more annoying things with him is you'd see that perfect angle where you can get the fissure and just lock somebody in and get the kill, and then you try to
you're out of position.
Move, and then he like takes forever to turn around, and he has to pick up his totem, and it's like, and then he slams it down. Like maybe now you can get those angles and use them.
I love the way how everything is just like how the changes are, because like he buffs Broodmother a tiny bit, suddenly he buffs Earthshaker as well, so like he buffs heroes that he knows are counters for, which means that it's just gonna change the whole metagame completely.
Yes,
which I fucking love this. So I really love the patch notes so far, but I think that this is gonna be good for Earthshaker anyways overall.
I think the moral of the patch notes that we can get out of this is it's gonna all come down to drafting. I think drafting has become even, like, obviously it's important, but I think now with the draft changes, which we'll talk about at the end, I know we keep spoiling those, all these buffing certain heroes to kind of counter other heroes, like there's more emphasis on counters, and that new strategy of drafting is going to really push counters to be the big decider, and it's going to be really cool to see, a lot of the teams that have those good Dota minds, that students of the game that can really think and plan things out. I think it's going to benefit them way more than people who just kind of go, okay, what's the most popular heroes, X, Y, and Z, all right, let's go into the game.
Completely agree.
Going to be some crazy stuff we're going to see. Next up is Ember Spirit, which he was added into Captain's Mode. We're not going to see him until after TI3 at least, right?
Probably.
So we still got a while for him. Next one is Enchantress. She's one of my favorite heroes, and the Aghanim Scepter bonus attack range is increased from 165 to 190. This is nice. I don't see this being kind of game changing.
Well, your carry build now is better.
Yeah. I think carry Enchantress is a little bit better, but still at the end of the day, you have to get the Aghanims. You have to get to that position, and if you go straight that, you're going to sacrifice a lot of other stuff. But we'll have to wait and see. Any other last bits, or can we move on to the next couple?
Fun.
All right. Go for it.
No, I have nothing to add on.
Nothing? That's fine.
Not really.
Enigma, we got a Malefice scaling reworked. So the old Malefice, the duration was 2-4-4-6, and the damage was 40-40, 65-65, and then now it's going to be 6 ticks, or 3 ticks, I guess, but it's going to last for 6 seconds, and the damage is going to be 25, 40, 55, 70. The total damage 75, 120, 165, 210. So just a little bit of a increase in the damage, and then we also see the stun duration is going to scale throughout the game. So at level 1 it's going to be 0.25, and then at max rank it's going to be 1. This kind of seems like a little bit of a buff, but then a kind of a little bit of a nerf, I guess, because early game that stun's not going to be as good. It's going to scale.
I feel it's a lot better.
You think so? A lot better?
Yeah. I think suddenly it becomes a viable jungler with ganking potential. Like before, you always had Shen and Enchantress because they could come out at level 1 and level 2, but now, like Enigma, you needed level 3 because you needed at least 2 ticks, and sometimes you actually got like at level 7 you had 2 points in your conversions and 4 points in your Malefice just because you needed the extra ticks, but now you have 3 ticks, and like those extra ticks, even if the damage is lower, the extra ticks are what's the good thing, because you need to be able to lock down people longer when you gank, and suddenly he can actually gank early on. So I think it's a big buff for him to be able to be a viable jungle ganker. Like he can actually come out at level 2 with Eidolons and just like come out with Malefice stun as well.
Now, the stun duration with the rank 1 would be 0.25. Is that pretty much the same as Invoker's Cold Snap? Just kind of get an idea of how long that is?
It's a little bit shorter than the Cold Snap.
Okay.
Probably a bit shorter, but it's still like just...
It's going to be more like a headshot.
Yeah, but even if it's a short stun, it's still 3 short stuns.
Yeah.
And in total, it's almost a 1 second stun coming out.
Exactly.
So it's almost going to scale up as well as level 1. But when you get it at level 2, suddenly you have a lot longer of a stun.
It's going to be a pretty big deal. I mean, even rank 3, I mean, 0.75 seconds, it's going to get 3 ticks, where before like 2 ticks. That's pretty big. I didn't think about that.
The total stun duration overall until you hit level 4 on it is going to be lower, but you still have more stuns. Like, I think it's just better.
I completely agree.
Cool. Well, hopefully we see more Enigma. This next one, though, is I'd say one of my favorite. I'm a huge fan of the Timbersaw because he's a lumberjack and he's okay. His base strength is increased by 3. His intelligence growth is increased from 0.8 to now it's going to be 2, or I guess 1.8. Now it's going to be 2.4. And then Chakram, the initial mana cost is rescaled. Before it was 125, 150, 175. And now it's going to be 75, 125, 175. So just that those early levels are really going to help out. And then also the Chakra move speed is increased from 800 to 900. I don't know if this is enough to make him extremely viable, but as far as the way Timbersaw is, I know I was always an advocate of he was a good hero. Now he just had a hard time breaking the base, getting in and killing barracks and that kind of stuff. But as far as like mid game and early game go, I thought he was pretty solid, and this seems like it's just gonna make him even better. I mean, that intelligence growth increase is pretty big. I mean, he's gonna be a pretty damn good offlane. Do you think we'll ever see him kind of picked in a competitive game, Weppas?
We might see him as a pocket strat pick, just because like he can actually be viable in the early game without items as well, just lowering the initial mana cost. Like even though it's just 50 mana, that means that the chakra is going to be able to do you out for a bit longer, which means more DPS, or you can throw 2 chakras out in a team fight. So I think it's a nice pick, but it's still a kind of that hero that he's just in the fights, kind of like a Death Prophet. He's just in the fights. He can't really do anything in those fights because he doesn't have lockdown. Death Prophet, of course, has a silence, but he's got a tiny slow as well that slows better in the later stages of the team fight. But it's still like you need either lockdown for him, or you need something that, I don't know, he's just there, which can be good if you have a lot of lockdown or a lot of damage around, and he can be work kind of like a clockwork that just jumps around and like isolates heroes. But more than that, I don't know, we might see him. I mean, increase to base int is nice because that means he's going to be able to use chakra even more.
Yeah, and I wonder if, I mean, we'll have to see when he goes in the game, but I don't know if that's going to be enough increase to have him not want to go Bloodstone a lot of times. I know a lot of times with Bloodstone it's a big-ass investment, and if we could just go Arcane Boots and then go something like Yule's, I mean, you could even skip the Bloodstone altogether. It's a lot of money. You can miss out on it, maybe put it elsewhere. We'll have to wait and see.
I usually don't.
Stuff. Go for it, Weppas?
I usually don't go Bloodstone on him. I go like utility build, going for like drums, Arcane Boots, Force Staff, stuff like that, just to get more mobility. I mean, the Bloodstone is great if you can get it, but it's just such a big investment. I mean, you can go for Sheep, Force Staff, drums, and stuff like that. Like I've even gone for Blink on him, and it's really nice because the mobility is stupid. I mean, you can't catch that hero. It's like trying to catch a Broodmother in net. It's just like impossible to or catching a Slark. It's impossible to catch up with a hero, and he can be so annoying. Especially Timbersaw with his passive makes him even more stronger. So I feel that Bloodstone isn't really the build to go on him. I think that Force Staff, drums, arcanes maybe into something like a Sheep is a lot stronger.
Interesting. Frost, do you have any Goblin Shredder love?
I believe it was like what 6.76. The Nyx change that was basically almost identical. The strength and the int gain, that's huge for him personally. That's huge. The problem is, where do you lane him in the professional scene?
Yeah.
He's better. Just like that Nyx change, I believe that was the Carapace change. He doesn't have something like Carapace. I would have liked to have seen one of his other abilities either decrease the mana cost as well to make him more functionable in the game early on. Because his biggest weakness, like you always tell me, right, and you're so right about it, there's no trees when you siege a tier 3. But what if he controls the rest of the map?
Mm-hmm.
That's still, in my opinion, good enough for a pick. He's getting close, but I don't think this is it yet.
Okay.
But remember, those base changes really changed the way Nyx was played too.
Mm-hmm.
So the strength and the int gain are really, really, really good for him. So, and you were right. I believe that is gonna alter the Bloodstone pick.
Which would be nice.
And the decreased mana cost in his ultimate.
Mm-hmm. There's nothing worse than having to, go into a game like, shit, I pretty much have to go Bloodstone at this point because I have the gold. Like,
yep.
Now I feel that I don't know if I will ever go Bloodstone. I might just go, like Force Staff, Yules, kind of that kind of stuff, like Weppas said. And just, we'll have to see, though. It's one of those things we have to wait and see until it's in the game. It's going to be a little bit more clear once we see it. This next one is pretty damn good. It was needed, in my opinion. Gyrocopter, flat cannon cooldown is increased from 20 seconds to 30 seconds. I freaking hate Gyrocopter. Anyone who's listened to me rant on how much I hate him for the past 2 years or year and a half on Dota Insight, I freaking hate Gyrocopter. So the less we see of him, the better. Is this enough to get rid of him, Weppas, or is he still going to be the amazing hero he is?
I still think he's going to be a strong carry, but we're not. Like, the thing is, in later stages in team fights, he's going to be super good in late game still, just because his late game presence and the team fights being so long is really nice, but it's a lot harder because once you've wasted your flat cannon, you're nothing more than just a one target right clicker, and that means that you won't be able to get like 3 flat cannons off in a team fight. You might just get 2 off because of the increase, which I feel is really nice. But he's still going to be super strong. But it still comes down to the buffs on other heroes, where like they're buffing other heroes, which makes that other heroes are going to be stronger against him. And we might not see him because of that, because we see other heroes instead. But it's still a nerf that's like acceptable for him, I think.
And I think too, now if you're you're going against a Gyrocopter, you can almost bait out a flat cannon, and then go and engage after that. I mean, I feel like right now with 20 seconds, you can't really do that. Maybe teams will think twice, like, okay, he used flat cannon, let's pull back for a second, and then we'll go back in. He's not going to have it back up for an additional 10 seconds.
Yeah.
We'll have to see the Frost. Do you have any last bit of stuff?
This changes his early game. He's no longer as strong in tri-lanes early on. It's much more difficult to be able to apply that much pressure like he used to because of that. His mid game doesn't really change all that much. His late game changes a lot because, well, for this fact, so when people are sieging you, you can't use flat cannon now to kill creep waves and force them to fight within creep waves because you won't have the cooldown down as fast, and that 10 seconds will make a difference in the late game. They'll jump on that. Whereas now you'll have to hold it, which means that it's a little easier to siege against him now because he can't use it, back up. They come up, they do maybe, I don't know, 200-300 points of damage because remember, you still have a glyph. That's still 5 seconds. So that means you only have to wait 15 seconds. But by the time it takes them to go up the ramp and start setting up, that's the 5 seconds. They only have 10 seconds worth of damage. That'll probably only be a few hundred hit points. Now they have 20 seconds worth of damage. So that means instead of sieging you for 2-3 minutes, they may just siege you for a minute and a half and get the tower now. That's the big change late game. So now what that means is you have to be smart to play Gyrocopter. You can't be fucking face roll. Let me just flat cannon, let me kill you. Right? So you have to be smarter with your flat cannon. And that will also mean that players that are too aggressive, that's really bad for them. Because what that means is they'll cost their teams more games by prematurely ejaculating the flat cannon. So,
you never want to do that. It's always a bad.
Those are the changes on it. He's still just as strong though. It's just now you have to be smarter. You can't just be let me just hit button. So
okay. This next one is kind of fascinating, and I don't really know where it's going to go. So Huskar, his base strength is increased by 3. His Burning Spear DPS is increased from 4, 8, 12, 16. Now it's going to be 5, 10, 15, 20. And then his Life Break HP cost is increased from 35, 30, 25%. And then now it's going to be 40, 35, 30%. So kind of, 5 across the board. And then this is the interesting one. So his old Berserker's Blood, which was the ability that would lower his health got, it increases attack speed and his damage per stack. Now his new one is going to increase his attack speed and his magic resistance. So at 1, 2, 3, 4 ranks, it's going to be 4, 5, 6, 7% magic resistance, and then the attack speed was also increased from 8, 12, 16, 20 per stack. I mean, I don't know where this is going to fit. Weppas, do you have any idea, or are you flabbergasted like me?
Well, I don't know. Like, he's still such a weird hero to have in the game. I come back to that as well. He's kind of like a Death Prophet or a Timbersaw, where you need lockdown from your team to make him sure that he can actually do damage. But like, once he can actually start doing damage, he hits really fucking hard, but he's so easily kiteable and stuff like that. So now means he's gonna be able to survive a lot longer, especially like from nukes and stuff, which is nice. But it's still, I don't know where we're gonna see him, because he's just so hard to fit into the game.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Frost, do you have any? I mean, Dazzle, Huskar, is that what you were talking about earlier?
Well, yeah, that's going to make this more viable. That will be the strategy with him, guaranteed. The thing that we have to understand about that is that 7% magic resistance per missing health. That means that when he's at around 20% life, he's invulnerable to magic. That is ridiculous. So,
he's going to hit so hard.
So Dazzle armor with heal. Oh, and by the way, he can BKB and still survive. Means you're not going to physically DPS him. Or guess what? If you could just get who? Omniknight. Right? Like, it just... That's what makes this so crazy, is the fact that... So his biggest weakness was his ability to get nuked down pretty heavily. That was his biggest weakness.
Yeah.
They answer the weakness up to a point. Right? So early on, he's still nukeable, because it's 7% and then 14 and then, all that stuff. As he gets lower... His physical DPS is the only thing that's going to bother him. Yet you don't want physical DPSers fighting Huskar anyway. They're supposed to be killing their supports, or his supports. That's the issue we're going to have. That's why he's not in captain's mode, because that shit right there is crazy. The problem with him is he's still susceptible to lockdown, and if you rush a BKB with the BKB nerf, it makes it more dangerous. So that means his late game is still super weak, because he's going to have shit for brains, right? His BKB is only going to be 4 seconds in the late game. I don't know how the hell this is going to work. I can only tell you that they made some good changes to him. He's still a risky fucking pick, but now he's a risky pick with payoff instead of just a troll pick. But now you have to pick the team to compensate for that.
He still is a troll pick.
Well, technically, yeah, you're right. Good call. But you know what I mean? Like, now you'll have to plan for this. Whereas before, you would just try to screw around and try to... Like, if you're playing an inferior team, like Navi does this shit all the time, right? If they're playing a really inferior team, they'll get 5 Dagons or fucking do some bullshit, right? Like, sniper mid. Well, they won't do that anymore.
That was a low blow.
Huskar.
That was a low blow.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, now it'll be Huskar and, Puppy Omni or something, but... I don't know if you guys agree with me or not, but that's huge right there. At 20% life, he's basically invulnerable to damage, or to magic damage.
I don't know what it's going to look like. It just seems weird, and he's a weird hero, and he's a.
Well, I agree with what you feel about Dazzle. Like, Dazzle Huskar actually might become viable, because you're forced to go BKB on Huskar because you're so easily kited. But if you go BKB, you can't get Shallow Grave. But that combo by itself is just like retardedly strong in the early game. You can just jump on people and kill them off, and now you can go BKB and still survive, and you hit for like fucking 500 or something when you're down to that HP in the later stages of the game with like an armor and a heart. It's like you hit so damn hard. So yeah, I agree.
And you have Dazzle armor, so even if you're at no life, if somebody mechs you, right, like as the duration of the Shallow Grave comes down, that's enough life for you to be like, hey, fuck you. Like, that life plus the armor, oh my goodness, that is so huge.
With the new drafting changes, how are you not going to telegraph a mile away that you're going to be going Dazzle Huskar? I mean, you don't...
Second phase.
Like, is that when you have to sneak him in there?
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to get the first one, and they'd have to be astute enough to understand what you're doing, and either steal him from you, which fucks them up, or give them to you now. Or at least that's the way I see it envisioning in my head when I think of the draft changes.
Yeah.
Although until I'm able to captain in that draft, I'm not going to be able to give you a definitive answer yet. But that's theoretically what I see. So like you could plan for it, and then they could counter you, but then they screw their own lineup. And if they don't, you get your lineup. So I don't know. That's going to be really weird. But I don't know. I hope to see it. The only thing I don't like is I felt like he's one of the only heroes that could 5v1 a team. That feels like League of Legends to me. And I'm not trying to harp on the League. I'm just saying, like, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see...
Really? I think that's kind of fascinating. When
I don't want to see Burning 5v1 anybody.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Well, you can already see
it
with Nikes. That's the thing.
Yeah.
You see it with Nikes,
that's true. That's true. That's a good point. But that's also why people hate it and think that's
I feel it's funnier with Huskar. That's the thing. I feel it's a lot funnier. Because he just stands there and hits everybody so damn fucking hard.
Yeah, that's true.
He doesn't have to move. He just sit there in the same spot. Just throw out his dumb spears, just nonstop.
Yeah. Can you imagine that paired up with Warlock ulti?
Yeah. But this is what I'm excited about.
Warlock's made in that lineup.
Like, there's so much more possibility. Like, there's a lot of weird shit that can come up after this patch is released, and that's going to be exciting. Let's keep this moving, though, so we don't make this 2 hours long.
Yeah, sorry, guys.
Invoker's the next one up. We see Alacrity mana cost is increased from 100 to 75. Ghost Walk slow is increased from a whole bunch of numbers. You can check it out. But now it's pretty much at max rank. It's going to be plus 10. And then the Ghost Walk cooldown is decreased from 60 to 35, which is pretty good. And then the Tornado damage is rescaled from 70 plus Wex plus Quas times 20. And then it's going to be 70 plus 2 times Wex plus Quas times 15.
Times Asian.
I don't know, man. Math is hard. I think a lot of these changes, I mean, the Alacrity mana cross, was that to make him more like viable as kind of a support-ish type guy? I mean, what do you guys think? I don't play much Invoker anymore, so I don't know about this. Weppas, do you play Invoker that often?
I used to play a bit, but now I don't really play too often. I like the Ghost Walk change, which means that you're going to be able to get Ghost Walks off more often in fights. It's like if you use Ghost Walk, you're not going to be susceptible for a gank like instantly. You're actually going to be able to get another Ghost Walk off, which means that he might be viable in mid again. But it's still, he's just so hard because there's other stronger mid heroes. But the Tornado damage, of course, is nice. The Tornado damage increase means that it's going to be hard as fuck to last hit, but it still buffs Wex a tiny bit. Like, technically, it actually buffs it, because when you maxed out, you got 2 times Wex, so you got like 12 Vex orbs as damage, which is like
I think, too, like indirectly, kind of a buff to him is the Bottle Crow change. I mean, with Magnus not being able to Bottle Crow as much, I mean, we might see Invoker middle again.
His issue still is base damage. If they don't answer the base damage, he won't be picked again. However, he's better in all assets. He's harder to gank, and if you gank him, you're going to need to buy counter invis, which early on for supports is a big investment. And if they fail at that, that's crippling for them.
But all of this actually buffs. All of this actually buffs Wex indirectly, because it's like Alacrity. You can use Alacrity earlier on. Ghost Walking, you can use it more often, which means that you're going to be able to survive, as well as you have the Tornado damage is going to be increased. So
base damage and EMP is what kills him.
Yeah, exactly. But I still feel that Wex will be viable if you actually pick him.
Yes.
The problem is you're gonna have to pull him gold, because he needs a null talisman to be able to last it.
Yeah, it's that, if that's what killed him, and I don't like. I still don't. Do you like that he got killed in the first place? I felt like he was perfectly acceptable as a mid hero.
I think it was acceptable.
EMP slightly could have been nerfed, but man, he got it bad.
Yeah, but I can understand though, because Quas is supposed to be like the defensive one, so you're not supposed to be able to last it that easily. You're forced to go Exor to be able to last it, so I can understand it. But he got killed quite hard, yeah. But I feel that still this can actually bring back Quas Wex when they actually go for a pick on him.
I think Quas Wex is a more exciting build to watch than Exor.
I feel like it's better in almost every asset, or every facet of the game, excuse me. I think the only time where it isn't is if you're trying to siege. Like Johan basically said, right? Like, you need Forge Chariots to siege and stuff. But I still feel like the base damage is still too much of a hit. Like, he'll get outlast hit by an Enchantress going up against the middle. It's really bad. You have to fix that.
Don't go Enchantress.
He's a good hero. I don't know why. He's a good hero. I don't know. I like to see him in the meta. I think he makes Dota exciting, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's a very unique hero as far as anything goes. So next up is Wisp. The spirits no longer provide vision, except temporarily when they collide with an enemy hero, and his overcharge health and mana cost is increased from 3.5% to 4.5%. So I guess slight nerfs for the Wisp. Is this enough to make him not first ban material a lot of the times in the Western games, or doesn't change too much?
Doesn't change too much.
All right.
No, not much of a change, to be honest.
Yeah, it sucks. It's the same as Shadow Demon. Whoa, sorry.
Jumping ahead, next one though is Juggernaut.
I'm an asshole.
Kind of a minor change to Juggernaut. The Omni Slash no longer jumps to Tombstone zombies, which it was really cool when he would jump to those, but we really didn't see Juggernaut being counterpicked by a Undying that often. So this kind of seems that, I don't know, it's a good change, but I don't think that it was that big of a deal anyways. I didn't really see that often. Did you guys?
Oh, this was also, well, this is good for him because now now it's going to be standard for him to be picked if Undying is picked in tri-lanes because he's really good against it. I just felt like his ultimate being taken away by that was just too big of a nerf because it's already taken away by 1,600 gold. Now you're adding a Tombstone, which is a mana cost, that's also taking away his ultimate. This is good for him, but it doesn't really change anything other than when he's picked.
Yeah.
Now Juggernaut's pickable.
I think he always was.
I mean, he's always been.
Yeah, but not
pickable,
against Undying.
No,
though.
not against Undying because
that's what I mean. That's what I mean.
It's
Sorry.
always a risk. Yeah, I mean, it's always been a risk.
Yeah.
It's just
that's what I meant.
But I feel that it should be like this, though. This is a change that's like the game is supposed to be like this. It's not really a nerf or a buff, especially. It's just like this is how it's supposed to be.
Yes.
All right. Next up is Keeper of the Light. His base strength is decreased by 2. Less health. Pretty self-explanatory. Next one, Knukka. His Ghost Ship damage is increased from 300, 400, 500 to 350, 450, 550. X marks the spot. Mana decreased from a scalability down to just flat 80. And then the X marks the spot vision from 1,000 flying is now going to be 400 ground vision. So it seems like kind of across the board is reducing the amount of flying vision on things. But we'll have to wait and see. I'm not really a fan of Knukka, but X marks the spot mana decrease seems to be kind of helping him a little bit for all of his abilities. I know Weppas, do you play him that often? I think I've seen you play him a couple times.
I play him quite a bit, and I really love the hero. I feel that it's nice because that means you can actually level up X a lot easier. If you're good at the timing, then you should easily level it up because usually Knukka is the one with the mana problems, and you want to be able to get 3 or 4 torrents out in a team fight, as well as getting the Ghost Ship out, and that's a lot of mana to get out, and especially if you have more mana cost on X mark. So I think the mana cost decrease is actually nice because it means that you'll be able to max it out if you're good at the timings, which you should be if you play Knukka a lot. But the vision one is actually a good nerf to actually go hand in hand with that because that means that it'll be a bit easier to kite him, but it's still like it'll be easier for other targets to kite around him because otherwise it's like 1,000 flying vision with X. That's a lot, and I like that they decreased it a bit because it's not really that big of a difference either. Because once you got the X on the target, you don't really care too much about the vision he gives around targets because you're still focusing on hitting torn on him, so it doesn't really matter. So I think it's a nice change. So.
Next up is Legion Commander, which we're going to be seeing pretty soon, I'd say within the next month or so. The dual bonus damage per victory is increased from 10 to 10, 14, 18, and she was added, I guess he in Dota 1, she in Dota 2 is added to Captain's Mode, but we'll be seeing her quite shortly, maybe even next. We'll have to wait and see though. Next up is Lich. The Chain Frost bounce count is increased from 7 to 10. I don't think this is enough to make him extremely viable as a pick. I think pub-wise, though, he's going to be going up quite a bit, and I think a lot of people are going to be picking him just to watch that Chain Frost bounce. I mean, do you guys see him being kind of a top-tier support now with this, or no?
If it was superior, yes.
Like
I feel if Pipe couldn't negate it, then yes. But
I feel it's a nice buff, though, but it's still, like, he's kind of easily countered, so we won't see him too often.
Okay. And this next one I think is pretty damn big. So Lifestealer, his open wounds cast range is decreased from 600. It's going to scale now 200, 300, 400, 500, and that seems like a pretty massive hit for Lifestealer.
Dry lanes.
Yeah, from a distance he can't slow people. I mean, he's still going to be strong as, you know, all ever, just jumping on people and eating them and all that kind of good stuff. But as far as slowing him from a mile away and getting in there, it's going to seem like that's going to hurt him quite a bit.
Well, now I think phase boots drums is mandatory.
Mm-hmm. Just get in there.
Not just mandatory, but it means that you might actually have to max out or get 2 or 3 extra points into open wounds before you max out feast, which means you're going to be stronger in team fights, but you're going to be able to get the extra range. But you're kind of forced to get, like, instead of, you might actually go like a 2-1-2 in an aggressive tri-lane just to be able to get the extra range, but he's not going to be as strong in the aggressive tri-lanes just because you can't be the initiator anymore. You got 200 range on it, and that's not big.
It also adds Shadow Demon to Lifestealer lineups, whereas before it didn't. So before it would be a waste because you don't want to disrupt the target because you'd have to wait. And then if you open wounds and you disrupt, there's a lot of issues. So Shadow Demon normally was avoided. You had more Rubik Linas, stuff like that. Well, now Shadow Demon has to be almost picked if you're trying to aggressive tri-lane because you need somebody from a distance to create the opening so that he can come in and close the gap. That's all this was. It's a bad change for his tri-laning. That's it. But it's good though, because I felt he's still a little bit, you know, ridiculous in tri-lanes.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's a really nice change, but it's like we come back to it.
It was a really smart change too.
They buff other heroes, which means that that's why we don't see a nerf on him, because he is perfectly fine if they just buff other heroes around him. So it's nice.
Okay. The next one up is Lina. The attack range is increased from 625 to 635. I think this is a good change. I like my Lina. Frost, I know you do as well. Not much to say though, right? More attack range is good. Really
good, especially if you use Fiery Soul correctly.
Mm-hmm. Oh no! Don't start preaching about your Fiery Soul build.
No, I'm just saying.
Next up is Lion. We got the Mana Drain break and cast range is increased by 100, and then the Aghanim's Finger of Death cooldown is decreased from 160, 100 from 40, and then now it's going to be 20 seconds less at max rank. 20-second cooldown on Finger of Death with an Aghanim Scepter kind of seems crazy. But also pretty neat at the same time. I mean, we saw Lion picked up a little bit.
Yeah, mid-Lion.
Eastern stuff.
That's it. Mid-Lion's back.
Mid-Lion?
That's all this means.
All
yep,
right.
Mid-Lion's back. And it's worth it now.
Yeah, mid-Lion with Blink Aghanims. 20-second cooldown finger. You can finger like 3 or 4 people in a team fight. It's like insane. You can do a double finger on a support, and you just like kill
the mana cost is still really huge, so he'll need like a Coddle.
Yeah.
Or, you know, like you have to have a lineup that has either a lot of Arcane Boots or a Coddle. However, his ganking potential now from the 17 to 25 minute mark with smokes, if he farms well. Because now with Blink, now it doesn't do anything for his ultimate, but now he has more hit points for fights. That was Lion's weakness. He was just so squishy. He's a glass cannon, right? Now he's not so much of a glass cannon because he's gonna build the Ogre Axe first. He's going to have other items. So beyond 25 minutes, like towards the late game, he's going to be really strong. Especially for defensive purposes, because he can just, as you're walking up the siege, ult, run back, heal, come back, ult, run back. What the hell? That's just crazy. Yo, you laugh, but that's what's going to happen.
I know. That's
it's
why I'm laughing.
Crazy. That is nuts, bro.
Just fingers to death everywhere.
Yeah.
It's going to be really cool for defensive lineups.
It's going to be hilarious.
Yeah, like if you pick a PL, Lion should be the choice of mid.
Craziness. Next change, I think this is a good one too. A little bit more bear management. So the Lone Druid, the Spirit Bear now has its HP drained by Armlet when active, and then the Spirit Bear bounties increased by 100 to 300. I think this is probably the best possible change you can make to Lone Druid. It's not necessarily killing Armlet on the bear. It's forcing people to micro and actually, you know, toggle it on and off. They can't just get the armlet, click it on, and then just don't think about it the rest of the game. We're still going to see a lot of Lone Druid, right, Weppas?
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of Lone Druid. I think people are going to rotate back to the Maelstrom build, though. I don't think it's going to be worth going Armlet. I mean, Armlet, especially with the bounty increase, it's so risky to go Armlet now. It's a lot safer to just go Maelstrom. And everybody went Maelstrom before they actually realized that you could go Armlet. So I think that we'll just see Maelstrom builds again. But the biggest change is that you won't actually be able to run him in an aggressive or like in a solo lane any longer, or like in an offlane situation too much. Just because if you try and pull the creeps and you kill your bear, that's like 300 gold to one of the supports. That's like instantly either boots so they can start roaming, because they're still gonna get, like, you're not gonna kill it off that fast. But It's massive, that 300 gold. And I mean, it's like carrying a hero in the early game. It's like getting a first blood without actually getting the first blood, just killing off the bear. You're gonna have to be so much more careful with it, which means that you might actually have to build more items on your hero as well in the mid stage of the game. You can't just put everything on the bear because it's so much gold.
I agree with him. However, though, he'll still go off lane. They have to have had already picked a Shadow Demon, maybe, or a Coddle first.
Yeah.
Like, you have to see the supports. If they go that lineup we talked about earlier with the old school Nakes, right? Like, with basically what AL and a lot of other teams do, Rubik, Lina, Nakes, there's no way he's off laning, or else you're crazy. But if they have Coddle and PL or some garbage, then yes, you can still do it.
Yep.
That's about the only way, though. Now it's no longer we're just going to offlane him. Now it's because of the supports they have, we're going to offlane him.
Pretty much.
Cool. Next one is Lycanthrope. Armor increased by 1. Armor is always a good thing. I don't know if this is enough to see a lot of Lycans. Anything before we move on you guys think about Lycan?
Not really, just helping him back into the scene a bit more. Just making him...
I think he could still fit now. Yeah, I think old school Lycan or old school Lycan fits in this game now. Bring him back. We'll be fine.
Let's not bring him back.
Nah, that was awesome. He was a good hero.
Yeah, he was awesome when he was on your team. He killed everybody and killed all their towers. That was fun. Magnus, the reverse polarity damage is decreased from 150, 225, 300. Now it's going to be 50, 125, 200. I think this is awesome. Reverse polarity just kind of felt stupid strong because it would do a bunch of damage, it'd clump everybody up, everybody be stunned, all that kind of good stuff. Now it seems like it's still going to clump up, so you get that stun, it's going to get people out of position, but as far as the damage goes, it's not going to be as potent as it was, especially early game. I mean, 100 damage off rank 1, that's a good chunk. Is this enough to knock Magnus down, or is he okay still being picked a lot?
Well, you could see him like already in the scene now. You don't see Magnus being picked too often. Like, he's fading off quite a bit because people are picking other stuff that works better. So it's like, I feel it's good that they didn't put like a massive nerf on him, because then he would have just disappeared instantly.
Yeah.
But this is a good nerf because that means he won't be as strong, but he will still get picked because it's a really good hero. But it's just a line. Some teams just don't like to pick him anymore. I mean, Alliance is pretty much the pioneer still. They always want to try and get back.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
But other teams don't really favor him too much anymore. Like, they run other heroes instead.
This is an S4 nerf because all this does is it kills his early game. So no more getting puck or quap kills on Magnus at level 6. That's all this is. Because if you look at it, he loses 100 points of damage early on. It was crap because Magnus would get his butt whooped all lane by a quap and a puck. However, because of bottle crowing, and as soon as he got level 6, he equalizes the lane because all the last hits that you prevented him from getting, he picks up in a kill. Most of the time at this point, it was a first blood, or because of the bottle crowing, he stayed in the lane, and it was unfair. Like, just as Fatah, like, it's unfair to play against this because it's bullshit, right? So now he can't. Now there's no more level 6 Magnetar kills because good players would wait to have the mana cost to do everything. To make sure that they can ensure the kill by level 6. That's not going to happen no more. It's going to be way harder because that's 100 damage less than that they're doing. But it doesn't change his mid or his late game really, in terms of, because that's in mid and late game. It's used for what it does, not the damage it does. Early game, it was used for the damage it does.
Yeah,
because you would only use it on one target anyway.
Cool. Next one is Medusa. Pretty big change to her Stone Gaze. So now any unit facing Medusa will have his attack, movement, turn rate reduced by 50% until the end of the spell. If people are staring at Medusa for 2 seconds in total, they're going to turn to stone. Stone units are disabled, have 100% magic resistance, but then take extra physical damage from physical attacks. And the gaze duration 6 seconds, stone duration 3 seconds, bonus physical damage, max rank, it's going to be 50%. This seems interesting, and it's kind of cool to see Medusa turn people to stone, which felt always weird.
This is sick.
But she's also been removed from captain's mode, so there's going to be some tweaking.
This is sick. That ult is, hell yeah, that ult's like old school Naga now. That shit is beast mode. The problem with her, again, is There are better heroes that do what she wants to do because she takes too much farm. Like, it requires too much farm. She needs, if this change and they change maybe, I don't know, something else to do more damage, then okay, she's more viable throughout team fights, which means she's more viable in the mid and late game. And in the super late game, she's still one of the better carries, but it takes too long. However, this makes her really good for, like, her ultimate's now way better. I don't think she's going to be picked as often. I expect her to be experimented with now, though.
I think she'll be the best carry super late game, though.
Oh, hell yeah.
Like,
Still.
for sure.
Oh,
no
yeah.
one's going to beat her super late game. Like,
Oh,
she's
yeah.
going to be the best hard carry for sure.
Oh, yeah.
If you can lock a hero down for 2 seconds, that's
Yes.
a lot. I mean, it's a lot in the later stages
Yeah.
of the game.
Oh, yeah.
But
The turn rate is big, too.
her problem has always been like that you need so much farm on her, but this
Yeah.
means that she can actually fight in the early stages of the game because you can actually stand in a fight and fight. But it's still like there are other better mid game fighters. So
And she's good against
we
PL
might
now.
see it.
She's
Yeah,
good against PL now because her ultimate kills all of his illusions.
yeah. Instead of
That's
just
big to
damaging
know.
them.
Yeah. So if he's sieging, this goes back to sieging. This is basically, this whole patch is the sieging patch. It just prevents a lot of really strong sieges. He could build the juxtaposed army of all time, like in War Z, the new Brad Pitt movie, and it won't matter. She presses R and they're all done.
This is good though. I mean, that's just right. in line
That's
with
the cure
other stuff.
for fucking Cancer Lancer, by the way.
Oh no.
Well, yeah, man.
All right,
That's
next
serious.
up, Meepo, let's
Go.
keep this show rolling. His innate and magic resistance is increased from 25% to 35%, which is pretty cool. More survivability for Meepo is always a good thing. I mean, do you guys have anything to add for that? Can we move on to Mirana?
Not really.
All right, perfect.
It's just
Mirana.
really good, though.
Mirana, one of my favorite heroes as well. So Loon's arrow now deals up to 100 extra damage based on the distance it travels. Moonlight Shadow cooldown is decreased from 160, 140, 120 to 140, 120, 100, which I think is really good as well. And then Starfall will choose a new target if the second star, if the target died before impact. But what do you guys think about this, Mirana? This
Good,
seems like
but
a Loon Shadow or a Moonlight Shadow makes her a little bit more aggressive. If you want to go gank all that kind of stuff, but I don't think it's quite what she needed. I know the talk was base damage increased
Exactly.
a little bit.
Boost her agi gain or base damage, and she now becomes a premier offlaner.
There's just something wrong with her in Dota 2. Like in Dota 1, this is gonna be great for her, but because she can still work in Dota 1, like because there's just something off with a hero in Dota 2, like either the turn rate or like the size of the hero or like something like that. It's just something that's off that makes her that people don't really want to play her. But she's completely viable. It's just that it's weird to play her.
Would you agree
so-
with me? I forget who I was talking to about this, but I was telling, anyways, I was telling them, I feel like her movement, if her movement speed is increased to where she's like a hero like Luna, I think she now becomes a top offlaner, because that means that not only is she super annoying, she has a disable that Luna does, or Luna. Oh my goodness, that Luna doesn't have, right? So she has an escape. She doesn't do the same damage to a team, but now it's not that she's unkillable, but she's like that annoying, like Robin Hood type striking hero.
Yeah,
Where
kinda like a
she does
Slark.
damage.
It's gonna be
Yeah,
hard.
exactly. She's just a ranged version of it with more utility, including a free smoke, basically, for 75 mana. I feel like if her movement speed increases and she gets super fast, like if she could be what Luna is, which is late game build with the Manta and drums and all that other shit, she's almost pretty much at haste speed. If that's what Luna turns into without having to go phase boots, I think she becomes way better. I think, or Mirana. Oh my goodness, what is wrong with me? But you guys know what I mean. If you fix her movement speed, I think it makes her viability shoot up way high because of all of her utility. And I feel like that's part of her utility. She needs to be more mobile, not just with a leap.
Yeah.
I think that really helps her right now. I think 10 or 15 plus movement speed really makes people think, wow, let's use her.
Yeah. Probably.
In my opinion, at least.
Still, it's a nice buff, but like I said, there's just something off with the hero in Dota 2 still. Like, even if they would increase the movement speed, just in Dota 2, it's just something that's off with the hero that makes it people don't
Yeah,
really
I agree.
want to play.
Like her turn radius is just kind of a pain in the ass. to
It's
use
really
sometimes.
weird, yeah.
And also too,
Her
the
agi gain
arrow,
needs to be
the Loon
raised.
arrow. If you look at the two arrows compared to Dota 2 and Dota 1, the Dota 1,
Yeah.
the graphics are a little bit more murky and dirty kind of thing. It kind of blends in. In Dota 2, it's this big ass blue thing that just comes flying out of nowhere, so you can't really miss it. I don't know if they'll ever change that, but it's definitely interesting that she's one of the heroes that's just so different between the two games.
If they make it less transparent, that would be good. Make it harder to see.
What if they made it
so easier to hit? That would be good.
Shadow, you can use the arrow, and the arrow is invisible. How dirty would that be?
That's actually a good change. That's
an invisible arrow comes out of nowhere.
That's pretty smart. I endorse.
Sign me up.
Finch for Prez.
Sign me up. All right, so next one's Morphling. Base attack time is improved from 1.7 to 1.6.
It's good.
Sucks penis.
It is good. But we'll have to wait and see if we see more Morphling, which is fine. I kind of got sick of Morphling after that stretch during TI2.
That's huge too, by the way.
Yeah.
Naga Siren Riptide cooldown rescaled from 19, 16, 13, 10 to just a flat 10.
Humongous.
Humongous,
no one realizes this. You know that this is TI2 Naga, right? This is the 6.76B change. Yes. It went from this side was 10 seconds to 19. Now they just are completely bringing TI2 Naga. This is TI2 Naga. Go check the tape. Trust me. This is TI2 Naga. And when I saw this, I was like,
base damage is still really low. But she's viable in aggressive
trial. Yeah, she's still minus 14 base damage, but yes.
Yeah, but she's still viable in aggressive trial lens again because you're going to be able to get Nuke out. And it's on a shorter cooldown, so it's really nice.
Yes. And remember, with Manta, Diffusal, she gets enough damage. Those are her core items anyway, or should be. I don't really particularly like the Radiance build on her. I don't know if you do, Weppas. I think it helps for split pushing, but I feel like she has Riptide, so... You mean, you know, that's just my perspective. But this is TI2 Naga, basically. You know, still minus the 14 attack that he said. This is still pretty, that's pretty big. That's huge.
Yeah.
That's puppy.
Interesting. I didn't think about that at all, so we'll have to wait and see. This next one's kind of crazy and has potential to be the craziest one.
I know, it's fucking awesome. This is the Chinese Necro now.
So Necrolyte, if the unit dies under Reaper's Scythe, it'll be credited to Necrolyte, which I think is, you know, will help his gold and all that kind of stuff. But then the craziness, Aghanim's Reaper's Scythe causes buyback to be disabled on heroes it kills for that death. Aghanim Scepter, Necrolyte, just killing everybody, no buyback.
This is huge for Eastern Dota. Chinese live by the rule that you should always have buyback after 40 minutes. Always. Everyone. This completely changes that. This 4+1 shit, almost non-existent now. Because Necrolyte is fucking now just the answer to defensive lineups that think that they can just win the game by buying back and just keep winning the war of attrition because they have later game carries. Well, now if you pick that 4+1 late game carry, guess what? If he dies, you're fucked.
What I think is biggest with it is that the ulti, you always get credit for the kill because that's the biggest problem for Necrolyte in fights. You don't get the kills, which means you don't get the regen, which means you're gonna die because it doesn't add too much.
Yes, that's why you have to.
But if you ulti and he dies and you get the krill, like no matter what, then you're gonna get the regen, and suddenly he's really strong in team fights. And together with Abaddon,
100% agree.
Put him together with Abaddon, and you're gonna see him. Holy fuck! When Abaddon gets into the game,
and he's
Abaddon,
so good middle. He's so good middle. I mean, I have Dota 101 videos with mid in particular where you see me play him a lot. People don't realize one of the smoothest attack animations, really good base damage. If you obviously bottle crow and use your have a bottle, farm a bottle, and use your heals, you can clear creep waves. You can see us on this guy like a boss. You'll always have the sustainability. You can even avoid bottle crowing or bottle in general because you get them. It's just, he is so good. The issue with him was, for me at least, I don't know if you feel the same way, you'd have to go Dagon on him in order to secure the kills, to secure the regen, in order to continuously heal every 5 seconds.
Yeah, you needed to secure the kills, and now it's like you just have to drop your ulti. Yeah, and that's really good. Yeah, it's a really nice change. It means that Necro might be a bit more viable because that's always been the problem for Necro.
Yeah,
you don't get the credit for the kill, which means that you don't get the regen, and suddenly you're fucking useless after you use your ulti because it's such 100%. A big mana cost.
Now you don't even need to worry about Dagon. Just rush your boots, your mech, and then Aghanims.
Yeah.
Game. Like, you're so strong. It's so crazy.
It's fascinating. I'm really excited to see where this goes.
That one is huge.
It's going to be crazy. Next one is Nyx Assassin. And this Dota 1 Rubian Assassin is mana burn, drain, and damage is decreased from 5 times its intellect to 3.5 for 4.55. So it's just early game, it's going to be less. And then his mana burn, mana cost is rescaled from 130, 120, 110 to 100. Now it's just going to be 100 flat. I mean, this seems like a pretty, just kind of scaling him back a little bit, but, you know, less damage, but less mana as well.
Yeah, this does nothing. All it does is help Storm Spirit a little bit in in the early game. That's pretty much all it helps. But what they don't realize is, well, I'm sure that's what they realize. What most people won't realize is that's actually my best hero. And I can tell you that the 30 mana difference is actually insignificant, because all that means is with 3.5 now base as the multiplier, you can just do it more. Because 130 was basically 2 bottle charges. This is still basically 1, because by the time you need to use it next, you would have regened, right? You would have already regened the 25 needed. You understand what I'm saying? Like, you would have regened a difference. So you can just keep doing it more than you would have in the past, just with 1 bottle charge. So all this does is just makes you use it more.
All right, well,
yeah, it's pretty weird. Yeah,
is definitely interesting. Night Stalker Hunter and the night attack speed is rescaled. Now it's going to be...
and Skywrath too.
Did I miss Skywrath?
No. I said it really only helps Storm.
Okay, that's fine.
And it also helps Skywrath against him. Sorry.
All right. So Night Stalker Hunter in the night now is going to be 45, 55, 65, 75. So just his attack speed's being scaled back a little bit. I don't know. I feel like this is not a massive change. Am I wrong on this one?
It's better for him, but no.
Not massive.
He's still good.
Cool.
Yeah.
Obsidian Destroyer, Outworld Destroyer, whatever 50 names we've had for him. His movement speed is increased by 5. That helps. Ogre Magi Ignite DPS is increased from 26, 32, 38, 44. Now it's going to be 26, 34, 42, 50. So a little increase across the board. Same thing.
By the way, just so you know, the OD, the movement speed, the reason why it was changed to 5 is so now he can right click and still stay with someone he's kiting.
Okay.
With Arcane.
Interesting.
That's because before, if you would do it, it's just like Pudge. You know how you rot somebody on Pudge and you auto attack and they still beat you now? But if you don't, if you stay rotted and don't attack them, you keep up with them. It's the same concept, except a lot of times OD would lose a lot of DPS in fights because people would out-kite him. Well, now that's less of it. Now less heroes can do that, that go middle.
Cool. Yep. I like that. But yeah, Ogre Magi, little buff, nice thing, but at the same, not massive. It's gonna help. But the one interesting point here for Omniknight, his Aghanim Scepter now is going to put Guardian Angel, is going to be a global, and it's going to affect buildings, including the regen. This seems batshit crazy, but also kind of cool at the same time. I don't know. This
Extra glyph is huge, but
yeah.
Where do you lane him? He's way better now. Where do you lane him?
He's interesting.
I mean, he's ridiculous late game, but I don't think we're gonna see him in competitive. I mean, I'm gonna love seeing that shit if we actually see it in a competitive, in a late game, and then like, oh, they pop glyph. Oh, never mind, Guardian Angel, and all the towers just start regening.
Yeah.
It's fucking ridiculous, but I love the change. It's really.
In my opinion, it's a better version of Treant, because
in the later stage of the game,
yeah. He's a better version of Treant, and he has more utility. The issue is, where the hell do you lane that guy?
Yeah, that's the big problem with him. It's really hard to know where you're gonna.
And he has to get farmed, which is even crazier.
I love the change because it's a really hilarious change, and I can't wait to use it. Like, I'm for sure gonna make us pick like Omni in a TMM game and rush Aghanims and just be like, oh, you wanna push? Well, fuck you.
Yeah.
Pop Guardian Angel from base.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
fucking nuts.
But yeah, it's a really fun change. But I don't think we'll see him more, just because it's like you don't know. It's really hard to lane him, and he needs a lot of items. You kind of have to run him as a 2. You kind of have to run him mid.
Yeah,
and you don't want to put him mid.
Expensive.
Yeah, I mean and you don't just need an Aghanims. You kind of need like arcane boots, maybe a bottle, as well as like a Shivas before you can actually be useful and use all your spells all the time, or have a Coddle, which is like so much farm. But I love the change. It's hilarious, and I can't wait to use it in pubs.
I agree.
Should be fun.
100%.
Next up, Pandarian Brewmaster. His Aghanims Primal Spit units now gain your current level of Drunken Brawler. The Fire Panda no longer upgrades damage with Aghanim Scepter, but it has the same damage with Drunken Brawler. So this seems like a nice little buff to Panda, but not massive, right? Just a nice little...
This change... I'm sorry, Weppas. Go for it.
Well, the question I have is that with Drunken Brawler, does the pandas actually get crit?
Huh.
Like, does the pandas get crit with that? If they do, then it's massive.
I think they do, actually.
Suddenly becomes super good in late game, because if you go
Yes,
Aghanims, you can go Aghanims in late game because you have evasion on the pandas and you have crit. And suddenly it's like his split is actually useful in the later stage of the game.
Yes.
So I love this change.
And another thing is...
especially if he gets the crit on the pandas.
Yes, his DPS doesn't change now because you used to be able to kill the fire illusion, right? And then that's it for him, right? Like, he's screwed. And then you target the green so that he can't TP to it or whatever. Or, like, you make sure that none of his illusions scatter, because then he can safely retreat. Whereas now, you can't really... It doesn't matter if you focus the red, because the other two will still be beating your brains in. So now it's almost like...
He can fight you.
Exactly. Now he's exclusively not a mid-game mid-hero. Now he can actually be played in other facets of the game, in particular the late game. That I thought was huge, because the way to stop Panda, really, even in the mid-game, was just target the Fire Panda.
Yeah,
and now that won't matter.
Because you have evasion on them, and if he gets the crit, suddenly he's actually good in the later stages of the game. Because that's the big thing. Like, the evasion is really good for late game, because you can actually use your split in the later stages of the game. But if he gets the crit, suddenly he can do damage as well. Like, with an AC, he can be a viable, like, mid-semi carry in the later stages of the game, instead of just being a disruptor in the team fights. So I love this change. I love
and if you kill the fire one, you still have two other ones that have the same feature. So, what do you do?
It's really good.
Crazy.
What do you do?
More pandas better. I like pandas. Next up, Phantom Assassin. Blur level 4. The evasion's increased from 35% to 40%. This is good. We've been seeing more Phantom Assassin lately. Seems like there's a lot of evasion stuff in this patch. Kind of a lot of changes, hit chance, and all that kind of good stuff. Next up, Phantom Lancer, Spirit Lance, Doppelwalk, Juxtapose, and Phantom Edge illusions. Damage dealt is decreased from 25% to 20%. You know, just kind of bringing him back in line. I think between this one and all the other hero changes with Earthshaker and things like that, Phantom Lancer is not going to be the fear of everybody. You know, bring him back down kind of thing, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's nice. It's a nice nerf, but it's like we said, they buffed other heroes, which means that they're going to be better against PO. Which means that you don't actually have to nerf PO too much, but they still took away 5% damage, and that's quite a bit. So the illusions are going to deal less damage in the later stages of the game. It's 5% less damage. That can be a lot in the later stages, and then you have other heroes that will work better against him. So I like the change. It's not overdone, and he'll still be super strong. But you can still counter pick him a lot easier for the later stages of the game. It's not going to be like PL in late game, you lose. Now you can actually have other heroes that work against him, and he won't do that much damage.
Yeah, which is good. There's nothing worse than dying to the Phantom Lancer army. Next up, Phoenix. Don't have to worry about him not in Dota 2 yet. Pudge, Flesh Heap, Strength bonus is increased across the board. So max rank is going to be 2.5. I mean, this is good for Pudge, but I think the bigger thing is we're going to see Pudge a shitload as soon as the Pudge taunt comes out for everybody who bought the compendium. But as far as competitive games, are we going to see Pudge at all, or just Dendy?
Dendy, but I think this actually does help him in tri-lanes now.
You think so?
Yeah, because it makes up for the HP loss in the levels because of the 2.5 gain as he goes up. But I don't think it's going to happen. But this actually, to me, when I see it, it helps. And if he were to go into,
he's still just a pocket pick, but
agree.
It means that he's going to be even harder in the later stages of the game to kill if it actually goes late game. Like, you're going to have 7,000 HP on a Pudge if it goes to 60 minutes, like, easily. Wow. There's like no way you're not going to have that much. You need like a heart, and you have that amount of HP. Like, with just like 4 staff and Boots of Travel, you can have like 2k HP at like level 16 or something easily, if you have enough kills. So
agreed.
Interesting. All right. Next up, Pugna. Nether Blast structure damage is increased 33% to 50%. It's going to help his ability to destroy those towers, and then also Decrepify can now target Tombstone, which I think is kind of interesting.
Really good. But
it's really good. It's a buff on dying. That's the best part.
Yeah.
It's a buff on you buff on dying by buffing Pugna, because now you want people to team fight more, and you want pushing stress to come back. So you buff Pugna by making sure that he can do more damage to towers, and you can Decrepify Tombstone, which means that in team fights you won't be able to kill the fucking Tombstone. It's really I like the buff. It's nice. We might see Pugnas a bit more. It's
I
really
hope so.
nice.
I like Pugna. I mean, his ward is so goddamn good, and if this helps him, I mean, more Pugna the better, in my opinion. He's a cool hero. Speaking of heroes that are not cool, Razor, Eye of the Storm duration is increased from 20, 25, 30 to now it's a base 30. Eye of the Storm strike interval is decreased. You can see all the numbers, and then with Aghanims makes it even better. And then Unstable Current movement speed bonus is increased across the board. Max rank it was 12%, now it's going to be 16%. I still dislike Razor so much.
I love it.
You like Razor?
Yeah, though the best build is like the best pub build you can go ever on him. I'm gonna tell you.
Right.
Try this fucking build out. It's so retarded, but it works perfectly. So you go Face Boots, you go Shadowblade, then you go Aghanim's Refresher, and you pop your ulti twice and run with Shadowblade after them, and they just fucking die. They can't do shit. It's like two invisible clouds just following them, and they just die. It's
you also know
hilarious.
that it pushes almost as hard as it pushes harder than Shadow Shaman's ultimate.
Yeah,
he can have Aghanim's Refresher. He'll have 2 wards up, and you guys should try it in a practice game. Look at how fast Raxes melt with that ultimate up. Because with Aghanims, what people don't know is they attack buildings as well. And it's crazy.
I love Razor though. I think it's a nice change. I mean, his ultimate is going to be stronger in the early stages of the game. He's going to be able to team fight a bit earlier, and it's going to be he's going to have an easier time chasing because of the extra movement speed. So it's nice. We might see him more like we've been seeing, especially. I just love how the metagame changes, because we've been seeing people start picking Ursa to counter Nikes, and now we might see Razors to counter pick Ursa, because if you drain his damage, it doesn't matter if he stacks up. Like if you just keep draining his damage, you can use a Razor against an Ursa, and you can kite him super easily just because you have extra movement speed. And suddenly it's like you just bring other heroes into the game. Yeah, Lone Druid, he's the best against Lone Druid.
That was such a good pick. Oh my goodness,
So
Ska Black was. Oh my
you
goodness.
just drain the bear, and you can't do shit because the bear is there for harassment. But if he doesn't do any damage, you can just right-click the hero. So it's really nice. I love Razor though. He's fun to see. The only problem I have with him is his attack animation is fucked up. I don't know.
It's really fast, but it's really strange.
It hits really fast, but the damage is delayed.
Yeah, I don't know why. It's like at the end of the whip, right? It's like as it comes back, then damage is. I don't know. It's so weird.
Yeah, it's weird, but we might see him a bit more. But it's still like I don't think the changes are gonna make sure that we see him more. It's just that it depends on how the metagame shifts.
That is quite possibly the craziest build I've heard in a very long time. So,
yeah,
it's the best build. It's hilarious.
And people don't realize how good it pushes Raxes and buildings.
I played it with.
It's
and he just chased supports down in this with the Shadowblade. They're just getting sapped by double.
Go to a practice game and try that. And Siege tier 3s. Look how fast Raxes go down.
I mean, the clouds sap every 35 seconds. In Aghanim, and you have 2 of them. And it decreases like armor with it. It's insane. It's so
wow.
Bro, and you can put it against buildings, and no one knows that.
Hey, can you put Razor's ultimate against buildings with Aghanims?
Yeah, Aghanims makes it damage buildings.
I was just kidding. I was busting his chops. He said it like 6 times.
Yeah, I know.
Because it's ridiculous, and people don't realize this. Like, just try it in a practice game, and then come back to me. You'll be like, wow, that's just sick.
All right, let's move on though. Ricky, permanent invisibility fade time is decreased. I guess this is good for Ricky. Still doesn't matter when you dust him and blow him up. Sand King, invisibility fade delay when exiting Sandstorm is improved. So it's going to be the same as it is max rank right now. It's going to be 1.5 across the board. And then Sandstorm now has a smoother damage interval. So the damage is the same, but I guess it's going to be more consistent. Shadow Demon, with his base intelligence is decreased by 3. Shadow Poison no longer gives visions over the target with the debuffs, which is going to be nice. And then this still reveals the projectile path, but no longer locks onto vision, or locks vision onto units with the debuff on them for 10 seconds. Shadow Demon's still going to be a damn good pick, right? I mean, this isn't too bad.
It hurts him, especially in aggressive tri lanes because of the free vision required on the sides.
Right.
And then you can see people behind the tower and stuff. But it doesn't. It's not going to change his way he's played. It hurts his mana pool a lot, which also sucks. But he's still used for particular things. Those particular things haven't changed.
Okay. Next one, Shadow Fiend, the Requiem of Souls. The slow is rescaled from 15, 20, 25 to just a flat 20. Then also its damage reduction is increased from 15, 20, 25 to 50%. What do you think about this, Shadow Fiend?
I love it. I love buffs to Shadow Fiend. Yeah. Whatever it is, it's nice.
This makes him at the 1 really viable. That right there, because that means that at level 6, or well, at level 6, excuse me, at level 9, he can actually grab that point, and it's okay. Just go up into a fight, land that ultimate. Everyone's doing 50% less damage.
That's kind of crazy.
That's crazy. I know. That's just beast. It's beast. It makes him at the 1 now more viable. Doesn't mean he's going to be top tier, but it means that now he can actually fight with the best of them early game and mid game and late game.
Yeah.
That's nuts. So, it's huge.
I love this shit. Every buff to Shadow Fiend is nice for me.
I don't think this changes him mid at all, because I still think he's very susceptible to ganks. Still think he has a really weak laning presence in the competitive.
Smoke killed Shadow Fiend mid.
Yes, but I think at the 1, this makes him a viable selection.
Yeah. What were you gonna say, Weppas?
No, I was just like smoke killed Shadow Fiend mid, and I think that he'll be used as a hard carry a bit more, especially together like with Dazzles and stuff, because Dazzle now you can pop it on a BKB target, so like suddenly you can buy a new BKB on a Shadow Fiend and he's unkillable and he reduces everybody's damage, so it's really nice. I love it.
Alright, so next up, Shadow Shaman. No movement speed increase, but the Aghanim's Mass Serpent Ward's damage was increased across the board. I don't know how much this affects Shadow Shaman, right? He's kind of
none at all. He still suffers the same weaknesses we talked about earlier. His movement speed, it's a lot of lockdown, but his low base strength and his movement speed is what really killed him when other mid heroes were added.
Yep. Next up, I think this one's kind of fascinating as well. It's going to be really interesting. Silencer, the global science now affects sleeping units, but the Aghanim Scepter for Silencer applies current level of Curse the Silent to all units and increases the ultimate duration by 1 second.
This makes him a lot more viable early game. Because suddenly he does a lot of damage with it. Late game, it's not really gonna matter because you always wait until his global is down and then you BKB.
Right.
Or until he uses his global silence, and then you BKB to get it off. So.
I agree.
I think it's still kind of cool though, at least to see what happens when as soon as you get that Aghanims. I mean, Silencer,
it's cool.
You're gonna do damage and silence people. It's just very interesting. We're gonna have to see though. How it affects him. Next one, Skeleton King, is reincarnation slow. It now affects attack speed as well, and the reincarnation slow happens immediately upon death rather than after reincarnating. And then his critical strike was reworked a little bit. It has a passive and active component. Passively, it gives you a chance to land a critical strike. Can be cast temporarily to steal HP from a target enemy hero. When the active is used, the critical strike is temporarily disabled for the drain duration. And then you have a bunch of numbers here for the passive crit damage, passive crit chance, and then the HP drain. This seems kind of interesting, right? I mean, but is it enough to make Skeleton King extremely viable?
No.
No?
It's a 2-button hero now, but it's cool because you basically sap damage and it gives it to you, or sap HP and it gives it to you, but that's it. Like, it's cool, but sure.
I don't know. Weppas, we ever going to see Skeleton King?
I don't think so.
Alright, let's move on to
unless you're Navi. Let's not forget.
Just pull out Skeleton King. So Slardar,
they have, it's crazy.
His bash damage type goes from magical to physical, and then his sprint cooldown is decreased from 40 to 28, which I think is quite a bit.
That's huge.
Weppas, we never see Slardar with this.
I think it's good because suddenly he can actually fight people now in later stages of the game. But it's still, Slaughter is like, yeah, we might see him. He's a nice hero.
I think he is, yeah.
I think he's really good in dry lanes, but nobody really picks him that often. Minus 20 armor for his ultimate, and now bash damage is physical. He's only getting better, and I think as these things happen, he's going to be more, because he's a really good hero. Really good. I think he's very underrated currently. Think about it. Super fast, heavy mobility. He's a strength hero. He has a stun, and he has minus 20 armor as an ultimate with vision. Well, you could build him with a blink. You could build him as a late game carry. That doesn't mean he's going to be the best late game carry, but he's very versatile. Sort of like the Centaur that I mentioned earlier. I expect to see these heroes now used in dry lanes more. I don't know to the effectiveness because we have to see all these other changes, but I think it makes him better.
Okay.
Yeah, I like it.
Cool. Sniper Shrapnel AoE increased by 40.
Cool.
Self-explanatory. That's good. That's big.
I guess.
Helps you kill those towers and kill people around the area, but I don't know. I feel like Sniper's still Sniper. Spearbreaker, Charge of Darkness will now also greater bash his target. So rather than just affecting those he ran through, now it affects the target as well. Cool change. I don't think it's massive. Am I wrong?
Same. Nope.
Nothing massive, but it's a nice change.
Alright, so Storm Spirit, Electric Vortex cooldown is decreased from 20. Now it's going to be 21, 20, 19, 18. So nice little scalability there. Storm Spirit, we've seen him quite a bit lately. This just kind of helps, right?
It's a good buff. Makes him being able to stun twice in a team fight pretty much. Or like make sure. I mean, you can always stun twice in a team fight before, but with it scaling down means that it'll just be a lot nicer. You don't have to be scared of using your stun. You can use it on whatever target pretty much. Like even if it's just 2 seconds, it's still like 2 seconds can be massive in a team fight.
It's quite a bit. I mean, we saw with Puck, it was just 1 second on her orb, and that seemed minor, but that made a huge difference. So 2 seconds for that definitely is going to help things.
Yeah.
Next up, Torn Chieftain, his Astral Spirit Vision, it goes from flying to ground, so we kind of see that continuous change across the board. The Natural Order aura is increased by 20 all across the board, so at max rank it's going to be 100% instead of 80%. I mean, both of these seem...
This hurts. Hurts late game carries even more. Not him. It hurts.
Oh, the aura hurts the carries.
Agi carries even more. But he's a really good hero. But the team concept, or the team that you'd have to build around him, still yet to be determined.
Tidehunter, Ravage AoE is rescaled from 825, 925, 1025 to just 1025. Is this the same it was before he got nerfed a little bit ago?
I think they just
but I like
nerfed the way it happened. His ultimate.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But
it was like
it's still
spread out slower or something like
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like this.
I think it's awesome.
Well.
Yeah, I think it's awesome.
Are we going to see the return of Tidehunter?
No.
No. All right. Bummer.
Well, we're gonna see him now and then. I mean, you see him once in a while, and we might see him, but I'm not too certain. It changes anything, but it'll be nice. It'll be easier to hit his ultimate level 6.
Yeah. Next up's Tiny. This is kind of interesting. Toss cooldown is decreased from 10 to 9, but now you can toss units at runes, which I don't know if it's that practical, but it still might be kind of cool to throw.
I think it's good for him against. If it does what I think it will do, I hope it destroys it, because that means that he's better in mid than there's like Pug or Quap.
I don't know if it's going to destroy the rune.
I don't know either, but I'm just saying if it does, I think that'll be cool.
I don't think it would, but it would be cool to see that, just maybe one time toss an ally to a double damage rune, grab it, and turn around and kill somebody.
Yeah, right. That would be awesome. But like, I think that would be awesome if it did it. But no, because then we may see Tiny more. But still, I don't think any of these changes really
help. All right, so Treant Protector, standard. You have to always give him kind of something to change. Leech Seed's slow is increased from 24% to 28%. Leech Seed's healing effect no longer ends when the target dies. More Treant Protector love.
Fixed a weakness that he had, but he's still weak.
Still his ultimate. It's kind of the problem.
I agree. 2 damage. GG.
Yep. Troll Warlord. Battle Trance cooldown increased from 20 to 30, and then the Battle Trance duration is decreased from 10 to 7. A little bit of a nerf, right?
Yeah. But his ultimate's still, still good.
Yeah. Next up, though, is Huskar. Snowball cooldown decrease from 24 to 21. Weppas, what do you... I mean, Huskar, viable, not viable?
Viable as a roaming ganker, but it's still, like, it's nice. You'll be able to gank a bit more early game, but other than that, it's not a big change. Teams still have to try and fit him into lineups, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. And then Undying, Soul Rip, cast range increased 650 to 750. It's fine. Undying loves good love. Ursa Warrior, Fear Your Swipe duration is increased from 6 to 15. That seems quite a bit, but it's not that big a deal, right?
Easier to roach level 1.
Yeah.
Yes, that, and it also makes it harder to kite him.
Yeah. Easier to get roached, where you can get roached by salving up at level 6. You don't actually have to have lifesteal.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have to have lads to be able to roach any longer. You can just send out 2-3 salves and you run out, salve up, and then you're going to be able to continue without the stacks running off. So it helps him roach easier and help him sustain fights, because he's also one of the heroes that are very easily kiteable. But now, even if you kite him, you can still have the stacks up, so you have to kite him properly.
Yep. Alright, Vengeful Spirit, strength increased from 16 plus 2.3. I guess that is every time she levels up, she gets plus 2.3. Now it's going to be 18, and then it's going to be plus 2.6, so pretty decent strength increase.
Big for her.
Then the Nether Swap cast range is rescaled, 600, 900, 1200. Now it's going to be 650, 925, 1200. I love Vengeful Spirit. I don't know if this is enough to make her a lot more viable, but the strength increase does allow you to play a little bit more aggressive, which I like. Any shot we see her picked up back again, or is this not enough?
Well, if she does, she'll be better for the... She'll die more. She'll be probably the next, like, most deaths on a hero, because now that means she can swap and keep her team safe by being a target for that much longer. And that's really good. If it's a good swap, like if it's a good trade-off for, like, you know, like a opposing carry or something, good for her. I don't know if this is going to make her...
We might see her a bit more just because she's stronger. Like
yeah,
the strength
but she's better.
The strength gain is what's going to help her.
I agree.
We might see her more as a tri-lane support, but yeah, I like it though.
What if
it's always nice to see
a bit more range?
I don't think so. I think it's kind of niche with the thing that she has low range. If you give her longer range, especially with strength game, people are going to use her as a carry.
Oh yes, I didn't think about that.
She's going to be stronger than like Luna and stuff. Just because she has a single target stun, magic, or minus armor, as well as an aura that increases your own damage. You can man fight whatever carry you want with that. So I think it's good that they keep it like that.
Alright, next up, Viper. The corrosive skin affects any damage source, not just regular attacks.
So broken. That is going to be ridiculous in tri-lanes. Because I don't think what people realize is, like, so Ion Shell now almost hurts Darkseer to even think about trying to hit him, because it's now abilities.
Right.
Yep.
And magic.
And then
that is crazy.
No longer remove Dark Pack or Kraken Shell. Just kind of a little side note.
Yeah, that's kind of silly.
That corrosive skin change is huge. Viper tri-lanes now? Oh my goodness. Try fighting him. See what happens to you. And remember, 20% slow when you hit him automatically. So now, when you hit him with magic, you are slowed by 20%.
Wasn't he one of those heroes we just kind of forgot he was in the game? I mean,
yep.
Maybe we'll see.
For sure. That's a huge change.
I like it. Next one, Witch Doctor, and the last one we finally came into the end. Death Ward cast range is rescaled from 300, 350, 400 to just a base 400. And the Maledict cast range is increased from 400 to 525. This seems pretty damn big.
Yay, no more pubs missing Maledict.
That's a pretty big increase, right?
Yeah, it's pretty big. Huge. Huge.
Alright, we made it through all the heroes. We did it. Let's do some items. Let's power through this and let's get this done. So the Drums of Endurance, or Django, if you're playing Dota 1, the recipe cost is increased 750 to 800. Good. I still think that's one of the better items in the game. Now it's just a little bit more expensive. Armlet is going to, the HP regen is going to be decreased from 8 to 7.
It's good.
Yeah, I think so. Soulcrest positive armor aura is no longer prevented from stacking with other items.
This is going to be good for Doom, for the Vlad's Doom. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it's
going to be really good for Doom.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really nice.
And this one's kind of the more interesting item change, the BKB nerf.
Big change.
So now, instead of the final rank being the 5-second duration, it's going to go down to 4-second duration with a 50-second cooldown. It seems pretty big. Like, the difference between 5 seconds and 5 seconds and 4 seconds of magic immunity is quite a bit. I mean, it's more than it seems.
Oh no, this is tremendous. This is a huge change.
But is this to make the game more aggressive? Like late games, there's gonna be more action because you're not gonna have these reliability on BKBs as much, right?
Yes, and they're trying to make it to where some of the carries in the game just can't insta win with BKB because it's kind of ridiculous. So yes, and it also helps heroes like OD, big time.
Yeah, Silencer. Yeah. Blade Mail, armor increase from 5 to 6. The damage return cooldown is decreased from 22 to 17. I don't know. Nice. That's good, right?
It's good. It's good.
I feel like a lot of these things are just kind of like, yeah, it's all right. It's decent.
Yeah, I mean, it's still not going to be picked that much more, but sure, it's cool.
This Bloodstone one is one of the more interesting ones as well.
This one is sick, yeah.
Initial charges increase from 6 to 8. But now you can activate the Bloodstone to instantly kill yourself, and this will cause it to trigger an AoE heal that always happens when you die with Bloodstone. 300-second cooldown. The targets on the ground can be used to prevent accidental usage.
This is going to be outstanding if it does what I think it does. If it suicides you.
It does. Instantly kill yourself.
Yeah. What I'm saying is, so what if you're like at 10 or 20 hit points? Does the team still, right? So what it says there means that it's going to give the team a suicide. So almost like Pudge is suiciding himself. That to me is incredible because you could literally sacrifice somebody so you can sack a hero. If this hero has it, obviously it can't be a super important hero, but if you can get an offlaner, so we brought up Timbersaw earlier. Could you imagine Timbersaw at tier 3s doing this? Basically sacking himself and then not giving them a kill, but meanwhile allowing the duration of his HP to go down. Your team or his team, the opportunity to go up in siege and fight. And then at the end of it, don't worry about it because any damage that they took, they're going to get healed from. And if you still have the mech to use.
Definitely is a lot.
That is what? However, you still have to get it. That's the problem.
Yeah, I still don't think it makes it viable to get, but it's a neat thing to have. It's a really neat thing to have, being able to suicide yourself in fights, just to you're gonna die, you suicide yourself and you heal your friends. It's kind of that's kind of nice to have.
Yeah, if it wasn't so expensive, it would be really good.
All right, so this next one, they kind of go hand in hand. This is the most exciting item change, I think. The bottle, while empty, the bottle causes couriers to move 30% slower, and then for the couriers no longer block neutral camps from spawning, and then courier speed boost from 100% to 50% movement speed bonus. It says the primary factor of this is when carrying an empty bottle without an extra slow, couriers will still reach maximum speed. Weppas, bottle crowing. Good.
I think it's a nice change. It means that you need to have a flying courier to be able to bottle crow, as well as what's it called? It's a bigger commitment to actually bottle crow, because I mean it's not going to stop people from bottle crowing, but with it taking 30% longer, it's going to take 30% longer for it to get back to base, means that you're more susceptible to ganks during that time, because usually when you bottle crow is when you're really low because you've missed a rune, and now it's you gotta play super passive because it's gonna take even longer for it to get back. So I like the change. It's nice. Doesn't kill bottle crowing, but it makes it a bigger commitment, which I feel is good.
I have actually the inverse approach to this because that's my role and I do it often. So what I explained to a friend of mine actually this morning when we were talking about it was, so initially I start out with 3 branches in the south. So I have a bottle pretty much by that first wave if I do my job. If not, I get it right there in the second wave. So that means every minute into the game, I'm using the bottle already. Yeah. By 3 minutes, after the next rune, by 3 minutes, we should have bottle crow. And I only use it during the 1, 3, 5, or 7 intervals.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those players that hogs the thing because I think it's stupid, but also think about why this is important. So when you grab a rune, this is what I was harping about on the Dota Insight show, by the way, and this is what I don't think a lot of people understand, but from a Miz player's perspective, I grab the rune, come back, seek to get a kill with the rune. The only time I save that rune is if I get a haste rune so that I can set up a play on him or steal the next rune. So if I get a haste rune, I no longer, or a regen rune, no longer bottle crow. So that means 2 out of the 4 runes I'm not bottle crowing, which is insignificant anyway. However, say I do, or say like Weppas said, I'm getting my ass beat. Keep 1 charge and bottle crow.
Yeah.
It's only 135 HP and 70 mana. That is not going to make or break your lane, and if it does, you lost anyway. This literally, to me, did nothing to stop bottle crowing. Save 1 charge. And if you don't, the only thing this does, remember, when you bottle crow, a crow comes to you, goes back 15 seconds, 15 seconds, 15 seconds. Let's do the 30% math, right? Does anybody know off top what's 30% of 45?
Math is hard.
Well, okay. It's 15 seconds. So if you are getting stomped that bad, it's only a 15-second increase, and I'm not gonna lie to you. If I do that 1 time in a game, 15 seconds is not gonna make a break. Who it hurts are your side lanes, but they already were getting hurt anyway because of this. Adding an additional 15 seconds is not going to kill them, or shouldn't kill them if they're good players. That's the point I'm making. It does nothing. But what I would do to fix it, just okay, I'll just keep one. But that's 135 mana and 70. Or 135 HP, 70 mana. It's not breaking, it's not changing anything. I personally would like them to eliminate it altogether. Because I feel like it takes the skill away from the game. I feel like only players should be able to refill the bottle at the well, not the bottle crow.
Huh.
That's just my opinion. Because if you look at the way I use it, and I challenge anybody to look at my last 500 games. And you play with me a lot, Finch.
I don't
really bottle crow back and forth, blah, 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 blah. You only use it when you have used a rune, that 2-minute rune, to either kill or to do something, and then you bottle crow during the 3rd minute to 4th minute. You get it back right before you fully heal up. You go for the next rune, and if you miss the rune, then you have a bottle crow so that you have a bottle for that 3rd minute or that 5th minute or that 7th minute. And I think people think this like, but I think unfortunately they don't really play mid at that level. So I think that's why they don't understand that. But it doesn't really change anything. It really doesn't.
I think it's a good step in the right direction, though. I'd rather make minor stuff to see how it turns out than just make.
I agree with you. Yeah.
Like overnight.
Yeah, but for a player like me, it doesn't change. It doesn't change anything. That's the point I'm making.
Mm-hmm. I guess it makes, if anything, it makes people think twice before they bottle crow, like, or think like, oh, I need to save this.
Yeah.
One. It just adds a little bit more to it. But we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to see it in action before it plays out. Dagon recipe decreased. Fine. Dust of appearance. I think this one's kind of interesting. So now it'll stack in your inventory. You don't have those annoying times where you have 2, you use 1, and then you go back to buy more, and it's like, nope, you can't do that.
Yeah.
So that'll be nice. And then now it shows heroes with invisibility buff on them, or it slows heroes with invisibility buff. So you pop it, slows them by 10%. That's pretty damn good. And no more escaping invisible heroes, which would be nice. Etherblade.
Basically a backwards Yasha, which is huge.
Mm-hmm. And it's especially like,
so it's like
things like that.
30, it's like a minus 30 movement speed if they have just 300 H or 300 movement speed. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that change.
Etherblade, Self Ally Castration increased by 4. Fine. Yule Scepter Divinity movement speed increased by 5. That's great. 4 staff recipe decrease. Still not as good as the previous 4 staff, right?
Yep.
Gem of True Sight can no longer be destroyed. Gold cost increased from 700 to 850. This is kind of
just
weird.
So smart.
Well, why?
It basically made them okay. So now both teams are basically only buying it once. So if you take it, that means you have to buy it again, which is fine. They're increasing the cost so that basically if you buy it and die, you're gonna have an opportunity to get it back unless they leave it in the well. The only thing that happens is you're going to still have to wait the same amount of time and it's going to cost more, but they can't destroy it. Mm-hmm. So you know how sometimes if you destroy it, so if you're playing against like a Slark, for instance, right? You'd buy one and say they get it, they destroy it, you have to buy another one. And then let's say they destroy that, they'd have to buy another one. I know a player, and I'm not going to say his name, but I know somebody that lost, you actually know him too. He's lost 5 in one game. That can't happen anymore.
Somebody lost 5 gems in the same game?
I don't want to talk about it. It was pretty bad.
Painful.
But the point I'm making is, that it's really smart because
Well, yeah, I like the fact that
Geometry now can no longer be destroyed. So if you don't have the item spots, you can still have teammates retrieve it or whatever. But it forces them to be in play more, which is the really good thing.
All right, I like it. Any Weppas, any gem stuff for you, or can we just power through these next like 6?
No, I think it's nice.
Okay.
That's the only thing.
Headdress, the regeneration aura is increased. The blink dagger cooldown decreased 14 to 12, which I actually think. Sorry, I was gonna power through all it, but this one's kind of big.
Going in a bit.
I really like this change a lot, especially on heroes like Puck. Blink dagger cooldown decrease is really nice. 12 seconds more action. Lincoln Sphere cooldown decrease 20 to 17. This is directly to combat Doom, right? Pretty much.
Yeah.
Most likely.
But it's still not going to stop him because he has the level death.
Yeah, that's true.
That's nice.
Lothar's Edge damage decreased from 30 to 22, which is fine.
Change.
Medina to Courage, the cast range increased 800 to 1,000.
Even better change for Gondar.
Yeah, I like Medina Courage quite a bit as an item, and this just makes it better. Mechanism, the regeneration aura is increased, equal to the headdress. Buckler increased as well, so just kind of an overall buff to Mechanism, which is nice. Necrobook.
This is good for supports. Really good.
Yeah, support love is always good. Warrior and Archer armor type has been changed from heavy to hero, and this causes them to take a bit less damage from creeps, but the same damage from hero. Still seems relatively minor.
Yeah, it is.
Well, I think in the Dota 101 item video, remember the biggest counter to this was Helm of the Dom?
Yeah, but that's
from changing it from heavy to you can't dominate a hero.
Really?
Think about it. You can't. What do you mean? I can't dominate you if I'm on the other team?
That's true. Interesting.
That's what I have to find out, because then that means that my item counter, because Weppas in the Dota 101 item episode, I kept telling people if they go Necronomicon and spend 5,400 to counter your team or to push against you, just spend 1950 Helm of the Dom and counter the fucking item.
Yeah.
Counter the Mauler, you stick it on them, and they lose, and they have to purchase an additional 1950 item in order to counter your counter.
Yeah.
It's the instant counter. That's what killed Necronomicon in the professional scene. If that change fixes that, then that means Necro is actually still viable.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's true.
That is something I have to figure out. Yep.
Null Talisman recipe cost decreased 145 to 135. Nice for those intelligence heroes. This one's kind of weird. Observer Ward, the initial stock now starts at 1 instead of 2. I mean, what's up with this? Why was this changed? Weppas.
You can't fully ward a Shen jungle. You have to stick to the 2 camps. You can't go for the smaller camps. You can't stop a jungle hero from completely jungling because you're gonna sack your own vision. Because of it, so I think it's a nice change. It means that people will pick more jungle heroes, because as soon as you see a jungle hero, people always go into the aggressive jungle and ward up 4 camps instantly.
Yeah, and this also hurts. And this also hurts defensive tri lanes, because it almost basically kills their off laner unless he's a lone druid. So what this does is it enforces more aggressive tri lanes, so that you can do 2 things. You can prevent the pull, you can prevent the stack, and you can actually stop that lane.
Yeah,
because if not, you're going to send the wards to the defensive lane, and then the off laner gets screwed.
I like it though.
Yeah, it's a really interesting change.
All right, now speaking of interesting changes, Quelling Blade can now target Observer and Sentry wards, dealing 100 damage, but the cast range is now from 100 to 350. So melee heroes destroying wards on the high ground.
Sick, baby.
I love it. It's nice for early game.
Yep.
It's really nice for early game, as well as you have an easier way to juke, because you have shorter range or longer range on calling, so you can destroy trees ahead of you, and which means that if they're out of vision, they're not gonna see you destroy that tree if you're juking.
That's true. I didn't think about that.
And it also means it comes up faster, so that you don't have to wait in the juke spot in order to cut another one.
Yeah.
Very cool. So Radiance burn damage is increased. Good. This one's kind of weird too. Sanjin Yasha minor stats changed. Really the only thing that changed was attack speed. Now is going to be 16 instead of 15. The main chance is 16% instead of 15%. The damage is increased from 12 to 16. And then everything else is the same.
Yeah.
If they increased the movement speed by 16, this would have been what the...
No.
For now, it's just like, oh, nice.
It's nice, but I don't see Sanjin Yasha being a go-to item in the near future.
Yep.
Agreed.
Sentry wards, the AoE was decreased 950 to 800. I mean, what's the effects of that? Is it?
Well, it's easier for offlane Invis heroes, and it's easier for Invis heroes in general to be able to find small little crevices, especially in the dire side. Like a Gondar can now effectively hide in the trees and cut paths.
Right. So is this
to get XP and stuff.
Away with the dust getting better? Sentry wards are getting a little bit worse.
Yes.
I think so, as well as you can't counter ward every ward outside of Roche Pit if you put it in the middle. I think that you might miss 1 or 2 wards out of that, depending on where you put it. Which means that you can't just de-ward 4 different wards around Roche Pit by 1 sentry.
I like it. I like it. We'll have to see how it works out in the game. Shadow Amulet. The fade time is decreased. Not a big deal. Shiva's Guard. The AoE is decreased from 1,000 to just 900, but the attack speed reduction is increased from -30 to -40, which is obviously just going to help. I thought Shiva's was a good item. Now it just makes it a little bit better. Still a fine thing. Desolator, the corruption armor reduction is increased from 6 to 7. That seems pretty big, right?
Oh yeah, especially on a hero like Weaver.
Yeah,
that's actually really significant.
You can
yeah, towers too.
And Fury.
It's really good for pushing.
Cool.
As well.
And then Veil of Discord, the AoE is increased 550 to 600. It just seems like it's just a nice bonus to that item. Makes
it's better. It's a really good item. Underused, but it's really good.
All right.
It's so expensive, that's why it's underused. But I think this will make it easier to get it off.
I think maybe Earthshaker, Veil of Discord, jump into Phantom Lancer. See some.
Oh yeah.
Some sick damage coming out of that, which would be nice. All right. Biggest change. Oh, go for it. Last thoughts.
No.
None.
Nothing special.
All
Nothing special on the items.
Okay, cool. So gameplay, captain's mode. We talked about it earlier. The bans and pick phase is going to be changed. So right now it's 2-3, and now it's going to be 2-2-1. Same thing with bans and picks, I guess. So bans 2-3, picks were 3-2. Now it's going to be 2-2-1 across the board. This is kind of massive. I mean, we've already hinted at it the whole time. So you can see it's team 1, team 2, team 1, team 2. Then they got picks, pick, band, or pick. I'm screwing this whole thing up. So if you want to look it up, the one nice thing, whoever has the first pick also has the last pick. Why don't you guys take it away? Weppas, what's your thoughts on this?
I love it. I think it's a lot more strategic now, because you can't just by the first 3 picks, you can't just win the game. Because you can get counterpicked so easily in this new captain's mode. It's just overall a lot more balanced, and I love the changes. With them changing the picks out of the second phase as well, when you go into the second ban phase, the team that didn't have first pick gets first ban there, as well as first pick out of that phase. And then they get first ban in the last ban and first pick out of that. Which means that the guys that have first pick can go for something like a pocket strat, which means that both pick sides will be equally as balanced, because you will always have an upper hand on whichever side you go for. If you want a pocket strat, you can go for first pick. If you want a more solid, rounded up lineup, you can go for second pick, because you're going to be able to counter pick more easily. So I love the changes. Captain's mode is going to be a lot more interesting to watch. It's going to be a lot more fun to watch the draft, because I think with all the other changes as well, we're actually going to see some different heroes, because it's going to be easier to counterpick, and it's going to be easier to fit in what's it called, pocket strats. You can't just counterpick a pocket strat.
I second everything he just said. And for those of you that may not understand, so if you get first pick and you pick, let's say, Batrider for some reason, right? And say he wasn't banned out, they can just insta-pick to counter those pickups with the 2 additional pickups and round out your team and balance it. I have a whole drafting video on this, and I explain that. By the end of the first picking stage, the old way, the way it is right now, you have an opportunity to have a lot of information by the second ban phase. You literally know lane compositions based on the second ban phase for the most part. You have a general idea. Here, you may not at all. And that's what makes the second ban phase here really crucial, because whereas you have a lot of information now, you won't have a lot of information there. You'll have a strategy. So you'll have an IO Wisp, but where that could be a tri-lane or that could be mid, right? you would need the additional hero, that third pick, to tell you into the second banding phase what the laning structure is going to be. Because if they pick like a Rubik, you know what? It's going to be a tri-lane of some sort, right? If they pick a mid hero, you know what? Well, that's not going to be a 2-1-2 setup, right? You're not going to have the 2-2-1 setup. You had a lot more information in the past. You don't have that shit anymore. So now, in my opinion, at least for me, I feel like picking second is better for teams with straight up strategies, like Johan said, because you could pick your pocket strat and they only have one pick to answer it, but that's not enough. Whereas the first pick now, I think it counter picks more, because remember, they get the last pick. Whereas in the way it's set up now, the second team gets the last pick. Now it's the first team. So the first team to me is more picking the best hero early, and then counter picking the rest of the way. Whereas team 2 now has the opportunity to pick all their strategies and surmise like the balance of their lineup. So I think this is really crazy. I'm really curious to see how it goes down. I think drafting now is more at a premium than it was before. I think Johan agreed with me earlier, where I feel like the better drafters have a big advantage right now going into TI3 because of this.
I think one of the more interesting things too about how it shakes it up between the first pick phase and the second pick phase is during the first pick phase you have team 1 pick, and then team 2 pick, and then team 1 picks again. Or in the second phase it's team 2 pick, team 1 pick, team 2 pick, team 1 pick. So if you want to try to sneak one of those combos like Dazzle Huskar or PL Coddle, like all those really good combos, you pretty much have to be team 2 during the first pick phase, right? And you can pick those back to back. They can't stop it. Or if you go into the second pick phase and you try to do it, then you have to do a little bit more counter picking. And if anything, it changes up how you're going to pick your heroes depending if you're Dire or Radiant. I mean, if you if you're the first team or second team. Well, right now it's like you can kind of pick the same way both ways, but it's just an extra variable now of like, well, shit, do we have 2 back to back, or our picks spread out a bit more?
Understand something though. What this does is, with the creation of the extra hero pool here with this change log. So if you pick Dazzle, right, and say you pick I don't know, some tri-lane or whatever, you can't really go for that there. You'd have to go for it like you said. But remember though, if you're team 1 now and say you want to pick a strategy like that, you just pick the hero in that comp that makes the most sense. So for me right now it would be Dazzle, because like we said earlier, right, Dazzle can now be paired with Shadow Fiend and Huskar. Whereas if you pick Huskar, you need Dazzle, they can counterpick that. So that's why I'm saying, for more astute drafters, they have an advantage going into TI3 because of this. And I think that's what's going to make it really all the better. I hope that it doesn't become this more teams lose at the drafting phase. I think that would suck. But it gives very good drafters a major advantage. Like, I mean, what Goblak did in the Western Qualifier, I mean, you can attest to this. It was his drafts. Like, their drafting was just superior to everybody. That's why they made it so far. Right? Like, I felt like they were strong, but their drafting was the best part of what they were doing. And I feel like teams like that have a bigger advantage against normal team, although it's still going to come down to execution. I still think that, now it makes it so where, like, really good drafters have more of an impact.
For sure.
All right. That's perfect. So as far as the changes for experience and gold and things like that, I mean, are any of these significant, or is it just buyback, the cooldown?
Easier on supports.
5 to 6.
Easier on supports to get level 11.
Right.
Which is really good. Makes it harder now to get level 16.
To get XP.
Yes, absolutely.
With the increased AoE. The 200 AoE decrease was kind of big for offlaners.
And 5-man Dota is better now.
Yeah.
Way better.
It's nice.
I like it. Buyback cooldown increased 5 to 6 minutes.
Nice.
Very good. Just makes you be a little bit more smart about when you die, if you don't have it as much. Level 1 and level 2 towers armor increased 18 to 20. Seems like we're kind of getting away from the hyper-aggressive blow the towers up and a little bit more, like, I feel like we're stabilizing the game a little bit in a way. Like, these towers aren't going to die as quick. The buyback makes people play smarter. Just like all across the board, it seems like we're going to be going into a less risky, more stable type of game. But who knows? I'm probably wrong. And then the heroes getting last hit on towers now gives 100 or 200 bonus golds. It doesn't affect the team's bounty, which is really nice. Backdoor protection reduces incoming damage by 25%. And then my favorite one, the siege unit's HP is increased from 500 to 550. So no more trying to guess when you're going to get the last hit on the siege unit. It's just 4 hits from the tower instead of sometimes 3, sometimes 4. Any of those, Weppas, anything in particular other than the AoE?
1 sec.
No, it's all fine. Frost, anything?
No, I mean, that's all good changes. If you're good at last hitting, you understand it better. If you're not, you still need to practice. That's all it does.
Practice.
But it's easier to last hit now.
Yep.
In that respect.
Which is nice. It's less frustrating because a lot of times you think
for the siege units,
right, and then you just screw it up. And then swapping a hero that you random now costs 100 gold, which is nice. So no longer random and giving away the hero, then having all that bonus gold. But that wraps up the changelog. That was long, but we made it through.
That was really long, but yeah. I can't wait for this patch to get into Dota 2. It's going to be amazing.
I completely agree. I think this is probably the best patch we've had in the past year. Just the way that it's taking the game, rather than nerfing certain heroes to the ground and seeing Morphling nonstop and all of a sudden he just disappears, you never see him again. I like the fact that they're still going to be viable, but there's going to be other options out there. Counter picking the draft stage. I think drafts now are going to be way more exciting.
Yeah.
Players are going to be rewarded for smart play. It's going to be really, really good across the board. So let's wrap this up before we freaking fall asleep after doing that whole thing. Let me switch back to the overlay. Weppas, where can people find you? Shout outs, all that kind of good stuff.
Twitter.com/Weppas_, as well as Facebook.com/follow Weppas, and I stream occasionally. Twitch.tv/Weppas. Shout out, thanks for having me on. Shout out to the Good Studio. Make sure to tune in about 10 minutes. We're gonna have Beat the Studio. We're actually gonna play Warcraft 3. So we're actually gonna play this patch. We're gonna play some Dota 1 with this patch, as well as we're gonna play some Punch Wars. So if you're a subscriber to the Good Studio or to me or just to the Good Studio channel, you can join in and play, and it's gonna be a lot of fun, man. We love playing Warcraft 3 Punch Wars, and it's gonna be hilarious to stream that shit out and play it. So yeah, that's about it. Thanks for having me.
Did you guys try those new heroes during Warcraft 3?
Let's go, Dazzle. Let's go.
Yeah, we're gonna play that version of Dota, so we're gonna be able to pick those new heroes.
Cool. So yeah, we didn't talk about them, but I don't think if you want to see them, go watch that. I mean, at this point, if you want to speculate. But yeah, thanks Weppas for coming on. It's great having you. Frost.
Thanks, bud.
Last bits.
No real shout outs. We are looking for some video editors. Unfortunately, our staff is stretched real thin, which is why we had a difficult time with the Western qualifier, Eastern qualifier show that we wanted to do for you guys. So if you are open for it and you would like to help, by all means, let us know. Email MJ Finch. We'll give you his email here in a second, and we'll get right on it. Thank you, Weppas, for joining us. Some very good insight, and I'd like to thank our staff and, of course, you for taking the show on.
Yeah,
the shit.
You guys can follow me on Twitter at IndyFinch, twitch.tv/IndyFinch, YouTube. If you watch this on YouTube, you already know the YouTube channel. Flipside Tactics, it's FLIPSID3 Tactics, and then also Dota Insight. We'll be doing the usual live show on Saturday. I think we're going to change the time, but it doesn't matter because this video will not be up before then. That's it. Wraps up the patch. Thanks guys for watching. Take care.